Sports Channel presents New York Yankees baseball. New York Yankee baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By your Tri-State Toyota dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive a Toyota and ride with the best. By the Whiz, for everything in home entertainment, nobody beats the Whiz. By Dodge, for 1988, it's gotta be a Dodge. By 9X Yellow Pages, if it's out there, it's in here. By Empire Blue Cross and Blue Shield, because when you need the best, you deserve the best. And by New York Telephone, public phone.
From Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, Sports Channel presents New York Yankees baseball. This afternoon, the Bronx Bombers versus the Baltimore Orioles. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Memorial Stadium. I'm Ken Harrelson, along with Bobby Mercer, as the Yankees get set to conclude this three-game series against the Birds. And, Bobby, the longest road trip of the year. At this point, they're 7-4, and with all the things that have happened, not too bad.
Not too bad at all. In fact, two 14-inning ball games on this road trip. Last night's game, certainly a heartbreaker as the Yankees scored 2 runs the top half of the 14th, but the Baltimore Orioles come back to beat them with 3 runs in the bottom of the 14th inning. So 14 is not their number, but 7-4 record, as you say, it could have been better, but it's satisfactory.
Well, Bobby, very quickly, two little paradox this afternoon because of the fact Richard Dotson, who has stated he does not want to relieve anymore, and yet he's got to go some innings this afternoon because of the shape of the bullpen.
Well, the bullpen is in not very good shape, as you said. Charlie Hudson can pitch a little bit out of the bullpen along with Steve Shields and maybe get an inning out of Galante, but as far as that's concerned, they would like to get a complete game out of Richard Dotson. He has mentioned in the paper that I read this morning that Dotson says, hey, either relieve me or start me, one of the two.
All right, this afternoon, Richard Dotson against the right-hander Jay Tibbs, and Merce will be back to give you the rest of the starting lineups right after this.
Well, the Baltimore Orioles have taken the field. The last game of this 3-game series and the last game of this 12-game long road trip the Yankees have been on. A heartbreaker, lost by the Yankees last night in 14 innings, and it has not been too long since everybody just went to bed. A lot of dreary eyes on both ball clubs this afternoon, but it is a beautiful day for this last game of the 3-game set. You see Jay Tibbs warming up. Let's go over the lineups. First of all, for the New York Yankees, leading off and playing left field, Ricky Henderson. Batting second, Willie Randolph at second base. Batting third, Claudell Washington in center field. Jack Clark in the cleanup spot, the designated hitter. Jose Cruz gets a start in right field. Dave Winfield given a day off this afternoon. Mike Pagliarulo at third base, batting sixth. Gary Ward batting seventh at first base. Rafael Santana, the shortstop, batting eighth, and Joel Skinner, the catcher, in the ninth spot. Richard Dotson on the mound, making his 10th start of the year, record of 5-1, 3.02 earned run average. Still trying to win game career 100. It's his 4th try. For the Baltimore Orioles, leading off and playing left field, Joe Orsulak. Batting second, Freddie Lynn in center field. Cal Ripken Jr., the shortstop, bats third. Eddie Murray in the cleanup spot at first base. Larry Sheets, the designated hitter, batting fifth. Keith Hughes, the former Yankee, batting sixth and playing right field this afternoon. Terry Kennedy, the catcher, batting seventh. Rene Gonzalez, the third baseman, batting eighth. And Billy Ripken, the second baseman, batting ninth. Jay Tibbs on the mound with a record of 2-2, 5.40 earned run average. His 7th start of the year, first appearance against the New York Yankees. And Jay Tibbs has concluded his warm-up tosses. Ricky Henderson is making his way to home plate very slowly. I'll tell you what, this is a tough game to get up for, but it was 14 innings for both ball clubs, so it'll be the same for everybody. And here to tell you all about it is the Hawk, Kid Harrelson.
Thank you very much, Bobby, and once again, good afternoon, everyone. So happy you could join us on a lovely day here in Maryland. Ricky Henderson to lead it off. Ricky coming in, hitting at .324 homers, 23 RBIs. And, of course, with those 2 stolen bases last night, 249. It's a new all-time Yankee leader. His right-hander Jay Tibbs with the overhand curveball in and over. And what Bobby was talking about, so true. My goodness, a long game last night. In fact, that was the longest in Oriole history. That pitch, the breaking ball misses low and away, and the count 1-1. Went 5 hours, 46 minutes.
Longest game as far as time-wise is concerned in Baltimore Oriole history.
Here's the 1-1 delivery. Fastball jammed him. Popped up right side. Eddie Murray fighting the sun. Glasses down now, trying to shield his eyes. He could just not pick it up.
What a helpless feeling it is for a ball player when they lose the ball in the sun. It's a beautiful afternoon. There are no clouds in the sky. As you can see right there, bright sunshiny day. He had the glasses down, just couldn't pick it up.
There's nothing he can do.
No.
You can't see it, you can't catch it.
He tries everything. He tries his hands. He tries his gloves. Doesn't work.
So Ricky gets a reprieve, and the count 1-2. Yeah, on that particular pop-up, there's no way you can get an angle on it, as that fastball up high in the count evens at 2. Normally in the outfield, you do have enough time to get an angle on a ball that's in the sun, but Murray could not do it. Of course, the fans here are getting the habit. They like to get on Murray anyway.
Yeah.
Outfield straight away, spread out. That pitch low and away, and the count goes full. So Ricky 3 for 10 in the first 2 games of this series. And of course, when you're coming off a long one after a tough loss like they had last night, obviously the best thing to do is get a guy like Henderson on and let him try to create something. Jay Tibbs, 26-year-old right-hander out of Birmingham, Alabama. That's up high, ball 4. So indeed, Ricky will start it off with a base on balls.
Batting second, the second baseman, number 30, Willie.
And that'll bring up Willie Randolph. Willie 0 for 7 last evening. And he is 2 for 11 in the first 2 games of this first meeting of the season between the 2 clubs. Gonzalez in at the cut of the grass at third. As the curveball misses low, Kennedy, who does not throw well. So, Bobby, we'll see what interim skipper Mike Ferraro wants to do, as Ricky certainly has a green light.
No doubt the Yankee runners will take advantage of Kennedy. They have, when they've had their opportunities in this first 2 games, taken advantage of the catcher's throwing arm. But the Orioles do throw over to first base a lot. That is to protect the catcher's arm, and they also call a lot of pitch outs.
Ricky, 41 stolen bases in 50 attempts this year. Does not go. That pitch low, and the count 2-0. So if Tibbs is having some problems finding home plate,
well, the pitching coach, Herm Starrett, on his way to the mound. Normally this kid is around the plate all the time. He has about average stuff, but he's in and out, up and down on the plate, but normally doesn't have that much of a problem finding the strike zone. And Herm Starrett probably out to tell him, just settle down a bit. Don't worry about Ricky Henderson. You got to worry about the batter. You take a look at Mike Ferraro. This is Mike's last game as the interim manager, as Billy Martin will join the ball club back in New York against the Boston Red Sox on Monday. Frank Robinson on the other side.
Mike was talking about after last night's ball game, did not get 1 iota of sleep. So Starrett, as they say, that fastball up high, and the count 3-0. But just checking out some of the numbers on Tibbs right here. He's worked in 35 innings, giving up 42 hits, 15 walks, 21 strikeouts. That's ball 4. So he has thrown 1 strike to the first 2 hitters.
Well, that is something. That is a consolation, right?
Batting third, the center fielder, number
Talking
18,
with John Lowenstein, former
Waddell,
Oriole player, now one of their
Washington.
broadcasters. Prior to the game, he said Tibbs has been throwing the ball well. As a matter of fact, his last time out against Mark Langston and the Mariners. He got beat 4-1. But Lowenstein said he was very impressive, throwing a little harder than he had been. Here's Claudell Washington. Claudell hitting at .269, 4 homers, 21 runs knocked in. Takes a strike and the count 0-1. In this series, he is 3 for 10 with a homer, and he has knocked in 4. Henderson, good lead at second. That one tails away, and the count evens at 1. Here in Memorial Stadium, 309 down each line. 387 in the deep power alleys, and 405 straightaway center field. The wind this afternoon blowing from left to right. So good for the left-handed hitters. There's a strike on the fastball, and the count now 1-2. See Mike Riley, the home plate umpire, behind Kennedy. John Shulock will be at first. Mark Johnson at second. And Jim McKean over at third. Murray trying to sneak in behind Randolph, as he does, but there's a base hit in the left field. Here comes Henderson. He'll round third. He will score, and the Yankees take a quick 1-0 lead.
It's a little breaking ball that was just kind of spinning down and away from Claudell, and he just serves it into left field. Nice shot by Claudell off the bat as he found the hole in between third and short. And you can see Clete Boyer, he's done that a lot this year for the New York Yankees. His arm is getting tired. He doesn't mind that, though. He waves another runner around third.
No, that's something especially, as we mentioned at the outset just a few minutes ago, that's the best thing in the world, can get you out of those doldrums. Because when you lose a game like that last night, Bobby, you've been there many, many times. All of a sudden, you got the 2-run lead, 2 outs, bases loaded, 3-2. One play, you blow it, and there's such a big, empty feeling. Here's Jack Clark. High breaking pitch. Clark hitting at .241, 11 homers. He's knocked in 31.
Well, you know, the empty feeling is that after you play 14 innings, you figure, well, heck, I've been here this long. We might as well go ahead and win it.
Well, that's so true. Mercy.
And you feel like you have it in the back pocket.
Clark 1 for 8 in this series as that off-speed pitch misses low, and the count 2-0. So Tibbs, as is evidenced by the 1 Yankee run thus far. Randolph at second, Washington at first, nobody out. He got himself in a whole passel of trouble.
Already activity in the Oriole bullpen.
Outfield swung around to the left as there's the strike, and the count 2-1. Well, the Orioles last in the league in hitting at .219. They're last in the league in ERA at .502. So those two numbers combined will tell you 12 and 41. Last place. There's the hard breaking pitch, and the count evens at 2. So after falling behind 2-0, Clark got his fastball 2-1. Evidently was looking for something else, Merce.
Well, the Orioles have been in a whole bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
The one thing they don't want to do with those team batting averages that you just mentioned and the team ERA is fall too far behind on any ball club, especially the first place Yankees. It's a little bit tough for them to come back. The Yankees right here have an excellent opportunity to blow this game wide open early.
Before Baltimore even has an opportunity to come up, as now Ripken sneaks in. Willie back. Yankees with a mark of 34 and 18. They are a game and a half in front of the Cleveland Indians. As we mentioned, they are 7 and 4 on this road trip, which all things considered, especially after the Seattle circumstances with the injuries, not too bad. That's ball 4. That'll load him up.
You notice he went with a breaking ball on a 3-2 pitch to Jack Clark. That's just the kind of respect. And that could be all for Tibbs, and it is going to be all for Tibbs. He took the chance of making one pitch to stay in this ball game, throwing the 3-2 breaking ball to Jack Clark. He lost him. The bases are loaded, and Frank Robinson will be making a pitching move.
We talked about the Yankee situation as they need some innings out of Richard Dotson. Well, the same thing holds true with the Orioles. When you play 14 innings like that, and you go through some pitchers, they needed some innings out of Jay Tibbs, and they will not get it this afternoon. So the Yankees and Richard Dotson, who is looked upon, it's one of those stories, here's the ball, son, go get him.
Well, you know, it looked like Tibbs was aiming. He really didn't look like that he was rearing back and throwing it. He was just worried about getting the ball over, and then the more he worried about it, the worse he got. He was not throwing the ball like that. I know we saw Jay Tibbs in spring training throw the baseball with the Baltimore Orioles. He looked like he was aiming the baseball.
Well, you can bet that's exactly what Herm Storette told him when he went out there. Because after he fell behind 2-0 to Randolph, the next pitch he threw was the best fastball he threw. Then he reverted right back to it.
Well, the one thing about it, you know, these Baltimore pitchers, when they go out there, they're trying, you know, not to give up too many runs early because they know in the back of their mind that their ball club has been scoring not very many runs. So they're trying to keep everybody to a shutout or just a few runs. Well, Williamson, the new pitcher, Mark Williamson. He's 1-4 with a 5.03 earned run average. This 13th appearance for the O's. But I'll tell you what, it has been a long year so far. What are we? Just about a third of the way through this 1988 season. The Orioles starting off 0-21, and then just a lot of changes on this ball club. This is one of them. A lot of youngsters, they are beginning to try some different things since Frank Robinson took over.
Well, since starting off on that 0-21, they are 12-20 since that 21-game losing streak. But Williamson, 28-year-old right-hander, 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Originally in the San Diego Padre organization. And here's Jose Cruz in place of Dave Winfield, who's getting a rest this afternoon. Cruz 5 for 30 on the season. That'll pencil out at 167. Had a pinch hit last night, knocked in a run. Takes a strike. And the count 0-1. Yankees lead it 1-0 here in the top of the first inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Outfield shaded around to the left for Cruz. Randolph at third, Washington at second, Clark at first. That walk to Jack Clark, by the way, is his 23rd walk in his last 23 ball games. One delivery. Low in the count, 2 balls and a strike with Mike Pagliarulo on deck. Right here is when you have got to make him throw this good strike. You can't help him out. You got the club on the ropes, and you want to try to give him the knockout punch in a hurry. As there's a ground ball. Murray up with it. He's going to come to the plate. Kennedy, they'll just get Randolph, and there's one out.
I thought Murray had enough time to step on first base and then throw to home. Maybe not. He was just behind the first base bag, but he decided, hey, let me just get the one first, and that's forcing that run at home plate.
Well, doesn't that run hand in hand with the way the Orioles have been playing, though? You can't play aggressive. It takes the aggressiveness right out of you. If the club's going good, indeed, Bobby, I think you hit it right on the money. He did have enough time to make a double play there by stepping on the base. But you play a little chop game when things are going bad.
A little timid.
Baggs takes the ball. Michael 2 for 11 in the series. He was 1 for 7 last night. Baggs with 8 homers, 38 RBIs on the year. That's off the end of bat. A little looper in the right field. That's trouble. Ripken going back. He can't get there. Here comes Washington. Here comes Clark. Yankees lead it 3-0.
Well, this is what happens when you start walking a lot of people. All of a sudden, a base hit, and it's not one of the line drive type base hits, but it's placed nicely in the right field. 2-run score. And Mike Faiarulo has his 39th and 40th RBIs of the season.
Little duck snort out there on the right. You can see Keith Hughes broke back on it. Had no chance to recover. The only person that had an opportunity to make the catch was Billy Ripken as Gary Ward steps in. Takes a strike right at the outside corner. Ward did not particularly care for it. 3 runs on just 2 hits for the Yankees here in the top of the first. Out of play right side, and the count quickly 0-2.
There may be some problems with some fly balls this afternoon because the wind, as you mentioned, is blowing from left to right, but it's gusting. And once in a while, they'll get a pretty good gust of wind, maybe around 20-25 miles an hour. So these fly balls may not be the routine fly balls that you normally have on a beautiful afternoon like this.
Cruz with his leadoff second. Pags with his off first. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, says John Shulock, and that'll do it for Ward.
Shulock gave the sign about the way the Ward swung at the pitch.
Batting eighth, the shortstop, number 17, Rafael Santana.
So with 2 gone, it'll bring up the shortstop, Rafael Santana. Rafael, 1 for 7 in the series, takes the fastball high off the plate. Rafi hitting at .222, a homer, 10 RBIs on the season. That's bounced foul. And the count 1-1. Hey, not a bad crowd at all on hand. Orioles averaging almost 21,000 per game. The wind now has even picked up a little more, gusting from left to right. Outfield short, swung around to the right as that's outside, and the count 2 balls and a strike with Joel Skinner, the on-deck hitter.
You know, from a hitter standpoint, Hawk, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, in the daytime at home plate, it was tough to pick the baseball up because of the white houses in the background in center field. They have since put a big microphone system out there that's black, and also tried to cover some of the trees up, or fill in some of the trees that were sparsely covered back in the olden days.
Used to be very,
very
difficult, especially off the tall right-handers.
Like Jim Palmer.
Vis-a-vis Palmer.
I think, you know, I often complain about them painting those houses out there the day before Palmer pitched every time.
Whitewashing them, huh?
Yeah.
3 balls and a strike, 2 out. That's ball 4. So the 4th base on balls issued by Oriole pitching here in the first inning will load them up once again.
Batting ninth, the catcher, number 12, Joel Skinner.
And once again, here comes the pitching coach, Herm Starrett.
Well, already the pitching coach has made 2 trips to the mound here in the top half of the first inning. The manager's been out there 1 time. Frank Robinson has been bothered by a bad back. And I'll tell you what, got a pretty good load on his shoulders right now. pitchers are pitching a little bit timid.
They've had a tough time, as we mentioned earlier. 5.02 staff ERA. Here's Joel Skinner. Skins 2 for 7 with a home run in the first 2 games of this series. Outfield swung around to the left. Jammed him. The looper Ripken on a first bounce. Now gets it over to Ripken, who drops the ball. Who scores? And the Yankees lead it 4-0.
This is what happens when you are a ball club that's only won 12 ball games all year long. No matter what you do, no matter what you try, it just doesn't work out. He bobbles it momentarily, and all of a sudden he flips it to his brother Billy, but Billy couldn't hang on to it as Santana takes him down. And the ball, there's been 3 hits in the ball game so far. 2 hits by the Yankees, 1 error. But I'll tell you, neither of the 2 hits have been hit hard. It's been the walks and the mistakes.
Here's Ricky Henderson. He let it off with a base on balls, takes the strike. Oh, not hit hard by Skinner at all. They're going to give Cal Ripken the error on the play. That fastball misses, and the count evens at 1. So Cal Ripken commits his 6th error of the year. Pags at third, Santana at second, Skinner at first. Base hit right here just might be enough to put it away. It's low and away, and the count 2-1.
Well, with their ERA and their batting average as a team, I think the ball, if you want to look at stats and all that stuff, it could be put away right now with 4 runs in the top half of the first inning.
Sure like to think that. We were talking prior to the game, and even in spring training, the Orioles do have some marquee value when it comes to players, names. Meanwhile, the marquee value really doesn't have a whole bunch. Look at this. Here's a looper. That's falling for a base hit. Here comes Pags. Here comes Santana. Skinner into third. Yankees lead it 6-0.
Three hits and 6 runs, and the Yankees are just doing everything right. The Baltimore Orioles, pitching, defense, is doing everything wrong. And with that combination, the Yankees lead 6-0.
For Henderson, his 24th and 25th RBIs of the year as Willie Randolph steps in. There goes Ricky. There's a base hit. Down into the corner. Ricky had slowed up at second. Now he's going around third. He's coming home. He's going to score. Randolph into second with a double, and it's an 8-0 Yankee lead.
Well, Ricky Henderson, he's already had a pretty good day. He's scored 2 runs already for the Yankees, base hit, and 2 RBIs. You can see Willie Randolph. That's the hardest ball hit in this inning. And Willie laced it down the left field line.
Here's Claudell Washington. As you look at Henderson slowing up going around second base, he'll come around to score as Orsolak took a long time getting to it. 8 runs on 4 hits. And regardless of what happens, only 3 of those runs are earned this inning. There's a fastball strike. We mentioned Claudell with that base hit earlier, knocking in Henderson, picking up his 22nd RBI. So a chance for a laugher this afternoon after a long, tough road trip and a long, tough game last evening.
Who's tired?
I'll tell you, boy, when you walk Henderson and lead off an inning after a game last night, he can create something. It really can get you out of the doldrums in a hurry. That's inside, and the count 1-2. Check that, 2-2. Claudel, the 12th man to come to the plate as the skipper, Frank Robinson. Not too happy. There's a base hit up the middle. Here comes Randolph. He'll score, and it's a 9-0 ball game.
You think you can't have some fun when this happens?
I know who's loving it.
Well, I guess
Richard Dotson. He's just sitting over there absolutely eating every base on balls, every mistake, every base hit.
Yeah.
Right up.
The dot man had been trying for that career win 100. Plus, they'd like to see Dotson pitch a complete game. This would help the bullpen out today.
Here's Jack Clark as that pitch gets away from Kennedy, and Washington goes into second base. So that'll be a wild pitch, and everything that's happening or could possibly happen. Murphy's Law for the Orioles here in the top of the first inning. Williamson has given up 6 runs on just 3 hits, 1 walk, and all 6 are unearned. Fastball right there in the count, 1-1. Outfield swung well around to the left. Can't find it, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Nine runs here in the top of the first inning. Yankees. Clark doesn't care. He'd like to make it 11. Two balls, 2 strikes to Jackson. We mentioned earlier, Jack drew a walk earlier this inning. Scored a run. 2 RBIs here in the first by Henderson, Randolph, Washington, and Pagliarulo. Good rip. That ball had a chance to leave here in the right center field. That's to Ripken. It's short. Calvin over to first base, and that'll retire the side. But the Yankees do some serious and severe damage here in the first inning, coming up with 9 runs on just 5 hits. 1 error. 1 man left, and after a half inning of play, it's the Bronx Bombers 9, the Orioles coming up. Right-hander Richard Dotson has been given quite a gift here in the bottom of the first inning as he starts to take his warm-up tosses. Yankees lead it 9-0. Right now, let's check out the Yankees for you defensively. In the outfield, it'll be Henderson in left, Claudel Washington in center, Jose Cruz in right. Around the horn, Ward at first, Randolph at second, Santana the shortstop, Pagliarulo at third, and the battery of Joel Skinner and the 29-year-old right-hander Richard Dotson making his 11th start and his 13th appearance of the season. This will be his first appearance against the Orioles. No decision in his last start to Oakland, and his last appearance was in relief against the A's. And as Bobby mentioned earlier, Dotson making his 4th try at career victory number 100. He has a major league mark of 99 victories and 89 defeats. Also, Dot over his career, a mark of 7-8 against Baltimore. So Murph, a big, needless to say, a big first inning. 9 runs on just 5 base hits. The Oriole pitchers walked 4, 3 of them scored.
Well, if you came to the ballpark feeling tight, you got to be a little bit loose right now. And the Yankee ball club, basically, they've been loose all year long. They got a lot of confidence in themselves. They know that they have a chance to win just every ball game. that they play in. The team has been playing well. It is the end of a 14-day road trip, a 12-game road trip from going to the East Coast, the West Coast, back to the East Coast. Takes a lot out of you, and the Yankees would love to go home with an 8-4 record on this 12-game road trip.
Well, you know, one of the things about this road trip, as we were talking about last inning, even though the Yankees have an excellent chance on this 12-gamer to come home with a record of 8-4, usually winning makes the trip shorter. But that has not been the story for the last 2 weeks. This has been one of the longest trips I can ever recall. Circumstances dictate everything, and the circumstances that prevailed and pervaded this ball club on this trip, mercy.
Well, to start the trip out on, it took about 18 hours to get from New York to California on the charter flight. We had to stop in Kansas City. First of all, they were delayed out of the New York area about 2.5 or 3 hours before they could take off, and they had to stop for fuel. I tell you what, it almost took about 18 hours to get out there.
One thing after the other. But the Yankees, as Bobby talked about, they are confident. They're a confident bunch, overcoming some injuries and still hanging in there, holding a lead in the American League East by a game and a half. Here's Joe Orsulak. Takes the ball low and inside. Orsulak hitting a .288 on the season. And in the last 18 at-bats, he has 9 hits. He has another base hit. That will get by Henderson, who is playing in shallow. Orsulak will pull into second with a double.
Pitch up in the strike zone and out over the plate. And a good pitch for Joe Orsulak. Dotson is not the kind of pitcher that can pitch up in a strike zone. He's got to move the ball around. But right now you want to make sure that everybody hits their way on. You don't want to be walking anybody like the Baltimore Orioles did.
Well, that's a rock in the hard place, as you're right, with a 9-0 lead in the first inning. As Freddie Lynn steps in. Freddie hitting in .260. Actually, .259, 8 homers, 15 RBIs. And in the last 18 ball games, he has 6 home runs. 2-0 the count. Can't get the fastball. Bobby, your comments, though, in the opening, in case some of you missed it, tuned in late. Bobby talking about some of the statements by Richard Dotson.
Well, Dotson made a statement in the paper that came out this morning that he would rather for somebody to decide whether he's going to pitch out of the bullpen or going to start, because he says he just thinks it takes a little bit too much out of him, and he'd like to concentrate either one or the other. And he's pitched out of the bullpen 2 times, starting a first game of a 3-game series and coming back and pitching an inning or 2. That's foul off the right side, and you know, confidence-wise and what have you, I kind of see what he's talking about.
Well, he certainly, as you look at the foul ball by Freddie Lim. First of all, Dotson, very uncharacteristically, with those comments in the papers today, Dotson very seldom says a word. Very quiet individual, but he is not used to pitching in relief. That's playable into center field. Baudel with glasses down. And that's out number 1. As Orsulak tags, he'll move over to third base. But, you know, there are several trains of thought on this thing. Several processes. When a guy goes out there as a starter and does not get hit, or I put it this way, does not last that long, he gets pretty hard quickly. I'll tell you, I just don't see anything wrong in coming back with him in relief a couple days later, especially on the day he's going to throw. Now, that's the only time he's come back. But again, there's a psyche involved in today's game that the pitchers who get used to pitching in that every 5th day spot, as Cal Ripken steps in, well, I'll tell you, they just don't want to do it. They just do not want to do it. It used to be, you can give you some examples of the Chicago White Sox a few years ago, for an example, when they had, you know, Tommy John, Joe Holland, Gary Peters, virtually a 3-man staff, and they threw batting practice in between starts. Ripken takes a strike and the count 1-1.
Well, I think with that statement that he made is he's saying that he does not want to be doing the starting and the relieving at the same time.
It's either or.
Either or.
Ripken hitting at .243, 9 homers, 23 RBIs after getting off to just a horrendous start. And also for Cal, this is his 981st consecutive game. Arcelak at third, 1 out. Ground ball right side, 2-hopper. Look at the play by Randolph. That ball trying to eat him up with a topspin. And Willie stays right with it. Arcelak scores, and it's a 9-1 game.
Batting fourth, first baseman, number 33, Danny Murray.
The hard infield. This ball's got a lot of topspin on it, too. And it just kind of shoots at Willie. Man's got good hands, and he has soft hands around the second base area.
And mixed emotions for the guy stepping in now, Eddie Murray. He's 0 for his last 10, and he's 6 for his last 42. Murray on the year hitting at .231, just 4 homers and just 19 RBIs. And a lot of these people around here are tired of all the rhetoric that has been going on for a guy making over $2 million.
Well, it started last year, a little beef between Murray and Edward Bennett Williams, the owner of this ball club. Bennett Williams made a statement about the fact that he thought maybe Murray should be playing when he wasn't playing and should be playing when he's hurt. Murray took it as a derogatory remark, and he looked like he just kind of laid down last year when he heard that statement from the owner. Supposedly, they got all their differences worked out for 1988. They had a big, long talk and apologized to each other, but you know, Murray, he doesn't talk to any of the press around here. I don't care whether they're from Baltimore or they're from New York or wherever.
That'll be out of play left side, and the count evens at 2. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're hitting .234 homers, making $2 million a year, the press really don't care if you talk to them or not.
Well, I think Murray kind of put a sour note around himself with the press a couple of years ago, especially here in Baltimore. He said he wanted to be traded last year.
Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. As Murray flings the bat, and that'll retire the side.
They just fined him $100, too.
And he just fined him for throwing the bat. Orioles do come up with a run on a hit. No errors, nobody left, and after 1 inning of play, it's the Yankees 9, Baltimore 1. Nine-1 Yankees, top of the second inning. Checking out the birds for you defensively, it'll be Arcelak in left, Freddie Lennon center, Keith Hughes, former Yankee in right. Around the horn, Murray at first, Billy Ripken at second, Cal Ripken the shortstop, Rene Gonzalez at the hot corner, and the battery of Kennedy and Mark Williamson. Here's Jose Cruz. Jose hit into a force play last inning with the bases loaded. Takes it low in the count, 1-0. Yankees 9 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Baltimore 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 very large error, leading to 6 unearned runs. Bobby, you're just getting ready to say something going on about fining Murray.
Yeah, the home plate umpire, Mike Riley. Of course, it's a decision on the umpire's stand, and if he thinks a player throws a bat or throws his helmet when he's not supposed to on a strikeout, I don't know how you can do that because Murray threw his bat towards the dugout. It's the third out. He threw his helmet over there. What, he's supposed to go over there personally and place it into the bat rack and helmet rack? Or is it one of those things where it's just a matter of opinion as far as the umpire is concerned?
Well, certainly this year, the umpires have been more prominent, as that's outside. Full count to Cruz. In the media, radio, television, newspapers, magazines, than I can ever recall. I know there's something in your crawl, as it is in mine, about the Billy Martin situation. You want to be first? Or you want me to go first? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't condone kicking or throwing dirt on an umpire. The umpires made a mistake, but the fact that what was said as far as the chief of the umpires, the guy that leads them, Richie Phillips, and saying that they are going to single out Billy Martin from now on. They are not going to take it anymore. They are mad as hell, and that's it. And if Billy looks cross-eyed the wrong way or looks at him the wrong way, they're going to throw him out of the ball game and not give him a chance of his opinion. That's basically what they said in a nutshell. I think right now they have drawn the battle lines as far as baseball umpires, players are concerned. I think the umpires have said we are the men in blue. We are not going to take it anymore. They don't like the decision made by President Bobby Brown by suspending Billy Martin for 3 days and fining him $1,000 as was reported in the paper. They say that they don't think that was enough. So Bobby Brown is the president of the league. He's got a right to do what he wants and what he thinks is fair. And for them to come out and make a statement like that, I think the battle lines have been drawn now, and it's time for somebody to sit down and set baseball straight. And there's nobody better than probably the commissioner of baseball to step in and finally get this thing settled about who is really the boss in basically
That's ball 4, Jose. You can go down to first. Go ahead, Bob.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I got started. But basically what I'm saying, I think that finally the lines have been drawn. Now, who's going to step over the line first? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The umpires have made their statement, and we'll have to see the way the umpires treat Billy Martin. We'll have to see the way the umpires treat the president of the league and all of baseball.
Very well put. As Pag steps in, Pags had a big 2-run single last inning. Duck snort out there in the right field. That ball gets away from Kennedy. As Cruz that should be a pass ball. Cruz moves into second base.
Now, in all fairness, Hawk, to the men in blue out here, if you take a look at this pass ball just off the heel of Kennedy's glove, most of them do a good job. I think that they should have some kind of enforcement on these umpires. If they don't do the job, they shouldn't be in the major leagues umpiring. Umpires in the Supreme Court are like lifetime jobs. Once you're on the Supreme Court or once you're an umpire, it's a lifetime job, no matter what you do. And that's the only two jobs that I know of in America that is a lifetime job. I know that your job is not a lifetime job, and mine's not a lifetime job, but there should be some kind of a committee that comes down on these umpires and rates these guys. And if they don't do the job, it should be the same as anybody in baseball, whether it be a player, whether it be a manager or coach or whatever. If you don't do the job, you either got to go back to the minor leagues or be released.
One and two, the count to Pags. Outfield swung around to the right. As he pulled the string, nice pitch by Williamson. So Pags is down. That's the second strikeout for Mark, and it'll bring up Gary Ward. Top of the second inning, 9-1, Yankees on top.
Most of them do a good job, as far as I'm concerned, and they enjoy their job. They command a lot of respect, and they do get a lot of respect. But there are a lot of them around that just think that they're bigger than the ball game is.
Well, Bobby, I happen to think you're right on the money. Right on the money. As that's low to Gary. Gary struck out last inning. I would just add maybe one or two things. I think, first of all, what they did in that declaration written up by Richie Phillips, who is counsel for the umpires, that's looped out into short center field. Freddie Lynn has the beat on it now, glasses down. I think it was asinine. And I agree with the premise that you were alluding to, the fact that they have just separated themselves and drawn, as you say, the battle lines between umpires, players, managers, and also the commissioner and the presidents of the league. I think the commissioner and both presidents, Bobby Brown and Mr. Giamatti of the National League, represent their leagues very well. I think they both certainly have the integrity and the strength to do so. But what they have done now, in my opinion, this is an affront to them. Santana out of play. You certainly have to know that in my opinion, Mr. Giamatti or Mr. Brown, neither one or the commissioner sanctioned that statement that was coming out. And what they're doing is they're singling out and they are impugning the integrity of the men in blue overall. And to go maybe one step further, as you say about some of them, most of them are good. They work hard. That's down low. But to think that umpires are any different than any other profession is crazy. Players, you got good ones, you got mediocre ones, and you got bad ones. Doctors, you got good ones, you got mediocre ones, you got bad ones. Lawyers, the same way. That's in the left field. And umpires are certainly no different. Orsolak makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. Nothing across for the Yankees. And after an inning and a half, it's 9-1 New York. Nine-1 Yankees here in the bottom of the second inning. For the Orioles, it'll be Sheets, Hughes, and Kennedy. Nine runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Bronx Bombers, a run on 1 hit. And as we mentioned, in case you just tuned in, a very large error by Baltimore. Cal Ripken Jr. back in the first inning, allowing 6 unearned runs to cross home plate.
Well, it just shows you what kind of day it is here in Baltimore. A gorgeous day, not only for a baseball game, but just to sit back, relax, and enjoy the rays.
Now, is there anything else on your chest?
Well, of course. The game is not long enough, this game.
That curveball ripped by Gary Ward down into the corner. Cruz giving chase as Sheets rounds first. He will get into second base with a double. That's his 10th two-bagger of the year.
Boy, here's a guy that the Orioles were really counting on this year. He has not provided hardly any offense after having a tremendous year last year.
Well, outside of maybe Cal Ripken, because of the contract status, which is so real in every ball player's individual case in baseball today, as Keith Hughes steps in, hitting at .217. They used the appeal play at first and didn't get it. Now Frank Robinson out to talk to third base umpire Jim McKean. But Larry Sheets is one of the most marketable commodities on the Oriole ball club. Maybe next to Cal Ripken, even more so than Eddie Murray because of the size, the enormity in bucks of Murray's contract. You know, there was a controversy last night as Frank Robinson in the second inning wanted a Yankee bat, said he didn't care which one. And I'm sure that's not the case in this particular instance, but still there was a running controversy all evening with Robinson and the umpires, and then about the sixth inning with Mike Ferraro and the umpires.
Well, let's just see this conversation right here now. Frank was out there to ask about something, obviously the appeal at first base or something like that. And he was having a conversation with the third base umpire, and it looked like a normal conversation at first. Now they're in a heated argument for some reason or another.
He may have wanted to balk on the throw to first base.
Maybe, I don't know. But that's the point is that Frank went out to find out, you know, about a certain play, a certain pitch, or a certain runner, and then all of a sudden there's light in their eyes.
Hughes takes a strike and the count 0-1. Well, we have certainly seen this year, certainly I've been around this game 28 years, and never have I seen such an adversarial position taken between the two. That pitch a strike at the knees and the count 0-2. I mean, it's gotten to be, as you talked about last inning, Bobby, the top half of this inning, it's gotten to be almost battle lines, warfare. And it's sad to see because it does not do the game any good. And I do agree that something is that pitch inside fastball. Probably Commissioner, Dr. Brown, Mr. Giamatti going to have to get together and get this situation resolved because it is not getting any better. And I'm sure those three guys will do it. You can bet that, if in fact they deem it necessary.
This game has got to have umpires. I mean, the game has got to have umpires. But on the other hand, and I hate to say this, but the game, people do not pay $8 to come to a ball game to watch the umpiring crew. They come to watch a baseball game played by baseball and professional players.
No, we talked about that earlier in the year when the balk was being invoked so often. The fact that some of these, it's bad, it's detrimental because of the fact some of these umpires are going to start to like that attention. And for an example, instead of going home during the winter and going out to speak for $500 because of the notoriety and attention they receive during the season publicity, and they now get $1,000, $1,500. Some of them like it, are going to like it. Not all of them. As that's right to Willie Randolph, who takes it on the short hop over to Ward, and there's one gone.
And a play like that was what started everything in Oakland.
That's right. That might turn out to be one of the most significant plays in a long time, not because of the ejection of Billy Martin, because I, with you, do not condone throwing dirt on anyone, much less umpires. But the thing is the fact of what the umpire's action has been in retrospect to counteract the decision made by Dr. Bobby Brown. Terry Kennedy takes a fastball high off the plate. Kennedy, boy, he's had a tough go of it. 184, no homers, and 6 RBIs. Outfield straightaway spread out. Yankees on top 9-1 here in the bottom of the second.
I know one thing. If anybody can get it settled intelligently, is Dr. Bobby Brown. He has played the game. He's had his differences with umpires. He knows exactly how they feel. He knows exactly how the players feel. And he knows what needs to be done.
There's a strike. 2-1. Well, I think all three of them, as I mentioned earlier. I had a long talk with the president of the National League, Mr. Jim Oddie, about the situation with the decision, the Cincinnati decision, as he calls it, on the suspension of Rose. And I'll tell you, in retrospect, looking at that, I think he made the right decision. He certainly knows what the evils and the pitfalls are of this game, along with Bobby Brown, as does the commissioner. One hopper, Dotson, who can handle his position out there. Ball hit hard by Kennedy and 2 gone. But we both know, Merce, we've both seen too many baseball games in our lives. It's really the only thing we know anything about. And you see what's happening today, and you know, as I said earlier, you know it's going to get worse before it gets better. You just cannot separate yourself. When you're in this game, you just cannot separate yourself like the umpires have done.
But I think finally the SOAR has got a head on it now. The battle lines, like I said, have been drawn, and I think something will be done now, one way or the other, and I think it'll be done for the betterment of the game.
Here's the third baseman, Rene Gonzalez. He's 5 for 9 in the first 2 games of this series, hitting at .293 on the year. Dotson up high in the count, 1-0. 9 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Yankees. A run on 2 hits, 1 error for Baltimore. Low and away in the count, 2-0. Gonzalez, just 26 years old. Of course, the Orioles acquired Rick Shue from Philadelphia during the spring for Mike Young. Gonzalez is fun, as we've talked about. He's fun to watch hit. As a rule, Gonzalez very seldom gets on top in the count. He goes up there hacking.
Tell you what, he has killed the Yankees.
I like that. I tell you, he's fun to watch. He's a fun player to watch.
He's only about, what, the 1,400th guy they've tried at third base since Brooks Robinson has left, right?
Boy, they've had a slew of them over there.
They have.
Just misses a corner, and the count 3-1.
Tough position to be put in, though. I mean, even the organization, they're saying they had Brooks Robinson, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, third baseman of all times, playing third base for many, many years over there. It's hard to look at somebody else to say, well, I mean, is he half as good, or is he a third as good? They had the senseis over there, but I mean, this sensei, he couldn't hold a stick to Brooksy.
That's popped up. Skinner has room. Joe will make the catch and retire the side. Nothing across. It was a leadoff double by Sheets. No errors, a man left, and after 2, 9-1 New York. Top of the third inning. 9-1, Yankees on top, scoring 9 runs, just 3 earned on 5 hits in the top of the first. By the Bronx Bombers here in the third, it'll be Skinner then the top of the order, Ricky Henderson and Willie Randolph.
Catcher, Joe Skinner.
Yankees trying to make it an 8-4 road trip. They took 3 out of 3 at the Big A in Anaheim, 2 out of 3 at the Kingdome in Seattle, 1 out of 3 at the Coliseum in Oakland, and the rubber match right here at Memorial Stadium against Baltimore as Skinner takes the fastball high. Joel 0 for 1 in this ball game, but he hit that little nubber that Cal Ripken, could not make the play on as that's back towards us. And that opened the door for 6 unearned runs in the first inning. Outfield playing Joel to pull. Pretty good rip right there. That ball went right through the screen. And the count 1-2. Of course, the Yankees have a little bit of unusual travel circumstances after this ball game. That curveball low and away, 2-2. A lot of them will board a couple of buses, go back to New York, as some of them will board a couple of small charter jets to take them back to the big city. Kennedy can't hold on to it. Count remains 2-2. Of course, tomorrow they will open up first of a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox. First time these two clubs have seen each other all year. It'll be Neil Allen against the southpaw Bruce Hurst. And Skinner is called out on strikes. So Williams brings up his third Yankee hitter.
Good change-up. Williamson has a good change-up. He throws it like a palm ball. You can see the ball just kind of sinking down and in. One of his better pitches.
Here's Ricky Henderson. Ricky is 1 for 1, a walk, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. Here's a bullet right down into the left field corner. So Henderson is 2 for 2. That's his 11th double of the year. And we'll see if he goes ahead and tries to get number 42 with a 9-1 lead.
A shot down to the left field corner, but the thing about this baseball, Arcelak, you have to be extremely careful, and you not got to know exactly the way the carom is down there, because if that ball gets by you, it just continues to roll around the fence, and believe me, it comes off hot and heavy.
Here's Willie Randolph, a walk and a 2-run double. Takes it low and away. Willie last inning with that double down into the left field corner, knocking in RBIs number 13 and 14.
You just don't have the privilege of going down there thinking that you're going to throw somebody out at second base. You got to make sure you stop it first.
No, that's certainly a conceded double down there. And at that point, once it is a conceded double, the only thing you want to do is just make sure it doesn't stretch out into a triple. 1-1 the count to Randolph. Outfield swung around to the right for Willie, as that's on the outside corner, and it moves to 1-2. So we were talking about the pitching matchups. Neil Allen tomorrow night against Bruce Hurst. Then there's a chance Al Leiter, who was scheduled to go Tuesday, still suffering from some soreness in his left wrist area. And the pitcher for Boston will be Dennis Oil Can Boyd. Ripken, a long peg in time. Nobody was at third base as Murray. You could see him pointing over there. Then the pitcher, Mark Williamson, finally decided to cover.
Well, a good play by Ripken at shortstop. A lot of concentration because Gonzalez actually blocked him out from seeing the ball as he cut it in front of the shortstop, but he stayed right with it. That's a tough play. It looks like a routine play on the camera and on the TV set at home, but that's a tough play as far as the shortstop is concerned.
Here's Claudel. He's 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Got the first Yankee hit to knock in Henderson in the first inning. Pretty good fastball by Williamson, and that evens the count at 1. High chopper up the middle. Ripken knocks it down, so that will save a run as Henderson stops at third. Washington, 3 for 3.
Boy, this infield is as hard as a rock. You can see these balls just shooting through the Baltimore Oriole infield. Good play by Billy Ripken. You could see that his only play was to try to nail the runner in case Henderson decided to go home. But Henderson, looking over his shoulder with the help of Fleet Boyer at third base, they made a nice move in stopping at third.
Here's Jack Clark. A walk run scored, and he bounced to short. Fastball outside corner, 0-1. The Yankees have done a number on the Orioles here at Memorial Stadium. As a matter of fact, in the last 23 ball games, that's high off the plate. 1-1 to count. In the last 23 ball games here at Memorial Stadium, the Yankees have won 18 of them. That'll be back out of play, and the count moves to 1-2.
Well, a lot of records being set by the Orioles in 1988. Not the kind of record that the Orioles like to set. Was losing the first 21 games. Last night's game, the longest in the history of the Orioles, over 5 hours. And the Orioles beating one of the Eastern Division teams for the first time all year long, and that being the first place Yankees.
Little high neck in from Williamson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out here in the top of the third. Minnesota leading Oakland 2-0 in the first inning. 2-run homer by Steve Lombardozzi. Texas at Comiskey Park in Chicago, no score, top of the first. That's Kilgus against Royce. Of course, Paul Kilgus has beaten the Yankees twice this year. In that Oakland, Minnesota game, that's Bob Welch against Anderson. Welch 8-2 on the season. Jammed him, ate him up, little pop-up. Cal Ripken gets a little better angle than his brother Billy. Makes the catch, and it'll retire the side. Nothing across for the Yankees. There were a couple of hits, no errors, 2 men left, and after 2.5, 9-1 New York.
Take a look at the Wiz scoreboard. First of all, in the American League, it's Toronto 3 and the Boston Red Sox 3. That's at the end of 3. Steve and Sellers, the 2 pitchers in that ball game. Detroit 4-2 over Cleveland at the end of 3. Home run by Upshaw, his 6th. Also Jacoby hit a home run, his 4th of the year. Oakland, Hawk gave you that score earlier. Texas, that's at Chicago. That's a little bit later start. Seattle also at Kansas City, a later start. California, Milwaukee. That's McCaskill against Bosio. That's a later start. Over in the National League, no score between the Chicago Cubbies and the New York Mets at Shea Stadium at the end of 3 innings of play. St. Louis 1 and Philadelphia 0 at the end of 3. Seems like we're stuck on 3 here. Pittsburgh 2 and Montreal 0 at the end of 3. Cincinnati, a little bit later start out at Los Angeles. Chavez Ravine, and Houston at San Francisco, later start. Atlanta, San Diego, later start. So we're stuck on a lot of 3s here about 2:45 Eastern time.
That's all right when you score 9 in the first.
How long has it been? Played 2.5 innings, right? It's been an hour and what, about 40 minutes?
Yeah. They had a long one last night. Scoring those 9 when they sent 13 men to the plate in the first inning. Made up some time. Right here, bottom of the third, 9-1 Yankees. It'll be Billy Ripken in the top of the order. Joe Orsulak and Freddie Lynn. Right-hander Richard Dodson, who is trying to give his club some innings this afternoon, plus pick up his 100th career victory. Dodson 5-1 on the year. But the big thing is you look at some of the fans in attendance here at Baltimore. Up high in the count, 3-0.
It wasn't Euchre, was it? Huh?
Reminded me of Kevin Meininger a little bit.
Yeah, it did have some features.
Yeah. There's the strike. Ripken hitting at 170, no homers, 11 RBIs. He has been in a slump. 3 for his last 31. That's low ball 4.
Left fielder, Joe Orsulak.
Here's the left fielder, Joe Orsulak. He doubled to lead off the bottom of the first and has scored the only Oriole tally. Orsulak now 10 for his last 19 at-bats. Last year, suffered a stress fracture in his foot. Orsulak had a good spring. Boy, I'll tell you, the Orioles looking for any kind of help they can get. That's it deep in the right field. Cruz going back. He's at the track. He looks up, takes it one hop off the fence. As they're going to hold Ripken at third, so the Orioles, nobody out. Runners at second and third.
Second double for Orsulak. First double was in the left center field. This time he tries the right field portion of Memorial Stadium.
Center fielder.
Of course, you play him a little bit shallow because he doesn't have that kind of power. The wind is blowing from left to right, so he got a little bit of a boost from the wind out there, but he hit it good.
Yep, every time he burns you that way, if you're playing him in a little bit, you're going to take a few away from it. Much more than getting burned. Here's Freddie Lynn. Freddie 0 for 1. He flied to center in the first. We mentioned he has a mini 6-game hitting streak, and in the last 18 games, he has 6 home runs. Last year made a believer out of me in games of this nature. And that, of course, I'm referring to the Boston Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. Roger Clemens on the mound, and after an inning and a half, they're leading 9-0. And the Red Sox lose it. Changed nicely in and over from Dodson. And quickly the count 0-2.
Speaking of Roger Clemens, I understand that the Boston Red Sox are trying to rearrange their pitching staff so that Clemens can pitch the third game of the 3-game series between the Yankees and the Red Sox on Wednesday.
He took the loss in yesterday's game against the Blue Jays. Went 7 innings, I believe, giving up just 1 earned run. Of course, he is strong enough to come back at intervals throughout the course of the year on 3 days rest. He's a horse. Another change by Dodson. Count remains 1-2 to Freddie Lynn, 36-year-old veteran outfielder.
Well, of course, if Clemens does come back to pitch against the Yankees on Wednesday, we'll have it right here on Sports Channel.
They're running their best 3 out there. As you look at John Hart, third base coach. Hurst, Boyd, and Clemens. Of course, Boyd has been roughed up last 3 or 4 times out. Good rip by Lynn. Can't get on top of it. The count remains 1-2.
He'll not sign a contract.
Got him. Good change. And he's got to go to first base, which they will. Ripken will hang at third, obviously. So Dotson changing speeds very nicely on Freddie Lynn, rings him up. That's strikeout number 2 for Dot.
Well, this is what Dotson does best, and I tell you, Freddie Lynn had some pretty good hacks at some balls up in the strike zone. He was unfortunate to foul those balls back, but sometimes that happens when a season like this is going on for the Baltimore Orioles, and all of a sudden that pitcher, he pulls up one of his best pitches on you, that being the changeup from Dotson.
Well, the reason he got by with those high fastballs, he was not in the strike zone. He was on top of the strike zone. Here's Cal Ripken. Drove in Orsolak back in the first inning on a good play by Willie Randolph. Hit him a hard 2-hopper. The second bounce, that thing had all kinds of topspin on it. Willie stayed right with it. One and one the count. I don't think we covered the situation with Dotson and a couple of the starters closely enough. And in case you just tuned in, last inning we were talking about the statements by Richard Dotson saying it's going to have to be either or, that he wants them to let him know if he's going to work out of the bullpen or as a starter. And the only thing you don't like to see about that is the fact that that does not go to the manager first, so to speak, because if it does at that point, it'll be clarified and it never gets in the newspapers. As there's a ball hit hard in the left field. Henderson is there, makes the catch as Billy Ripken tags. He will score, and it's a 9-2 ball game. So Ripken with both RBIs, he now has 25 on the year.
Just an atom ball. Ripken hit it hard. As you see, the other Ripken, a younger Ripken, Billy Ripken, scoring. They got a whole bunch of Ripkens around this Oriole organization.
Well, we know for one thing, started the season off with 3, now they're down to 2. And if Billy still keeps hitting at 170, pretty soon they're going to be down to 1. Here's Eddie Murray. He was a strikeout victim in the first inning. Takes a strike. He has hit Dotson hard in the past. But getting back to the Dotson scenario, and also a couple of starters who say they don't want to work out of the bullpen in between starts. You know, one thing about when Billy Martin is trying to win a pennant, and you come up with some injuries, and you come up with some guys, for an example, Rick Rhoden was a big blow to this ball club going on the DL earlier, and you've got to zig and zag, and that's what winning baseball games is all about. Making adjustments at the time that you have to make the adjustments. You cannot stand pat. There is nothing pat in the game of baseball if you're trying to win. Now, if you're not, that's a different story. Just bring up somebody from AAA, whatever it may be, and let them go out there and get hit hard, lose the ball game, send them back down when the guys come off the DL. But some of these guys may have to be asked to come out of the bullpen in between starts sometimes, especially, as I said earlier, every time that's happened, it has been on the day they were going to throw anyway. Looks to me like you might have a conflicting as that's hit off the end of the bat into center field. Claudell Washington's there. Makes the catch, and it'll retire the side. The Orioles come for the run on a hit. No errors, a man left after 3, 9-2 New York. Top of the fourth inning. Yankees on top 9-2, and along with Bobby Mercer, this is the Hawk Ken Harrelson from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Rubber match of this 3-game set. Yankees trying to make it an 8-4 trip, and what has been, without question, their longest road trip of the year. Not so much in games, but in circumstances and time. It has been Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. But while we have a moment, a reminder on Sunday, June 12th, the Yankees and Wall Bombs present one of the most popular promotion days of the year, Yankee Bat Day. It's a special day you won't want your youngster to miss. Bombers host these same Orioles at 1:30 on Sunday, June 12th, and all fans 14 and under at Yankee Stadium will receive a Yankee bat compliments of Wall Bombs. Tickets on or for Yankee Bat Day, and all these Yankee home games are on sale at the stadium 7 days a week from 9 to 5 or through Ticketmaster. But Yankees leading 9-2. It'll be Cruz to lead it off, and to tell you about it, here's Bobby.
All right, Hawk. The Cruz man, he is 0 for 1 officially in this ball game. He reached on a fielder's choice back in the first inning as the Yankees sent 13 men, and the first pitch is up high and inside for a ball, 1-0 on Cruz. And then he walked back in the second inning and reached second base on a pass ball and was stranded right there. Cruz, Pagliarulo, and Gary Ward. That's in there for a called strike. It's 1-1 from Mark Williamson. Mark Williamson took over for Jay Tibbs, who started this ball game for the Baltimore Orioles. He only lasted 4 batters in this game. That's high and inside. 2-1 now on Cruz. And then Mark Williamson was called back in the fourth inning, back in the first inning, that is. We are in the top of the fourth inning as the Yankees sent 13 men to the plate, scored 9 runs outside. 3-1 now to Cruz. And what could happen, happened against the Orioles in the top half of the first inning. And it started off with just a whole bunch of walks. And you know, in baseball, Major League Baseball, when you walk people, you're going to end up with a lot of trouble. In there for a call strike, 3-2 is the count on Jose Cruz. 9-2 in favor of the New York Yankees. This is the final game of this 3-game set between the Yankees and Baltimore. Hit down the left field line, but it will curve foul. Tell you what, he had enough on that ball that if it had been fair, it would have been a home run for Cruz. 309 down East Line here at Memorial Stadium. And the wind is gusting around 15 to 20 miles an hour. Hit out into center field. Moving over is Lynn, and now the wind's got it. And Lynn's got it just in front of the warning track in center field. There's one down.
Third baseman, Mike Pagliarulo.
Mike Pagliarulo stepping in. Pags, a big base hit back in the first inning. Picked up 2 RBIs, his 39th and 40th on the year. Also came around to score, so he has a run scored and 2 RBIs, a base hit. He struck out back in the second inning. This is his 3rd trip to the plate. And the Williamson breaking ball misses high and outside. Hawk, you were talking about some of the pitchers pitching in relief that are supposed to be starters in a rotation. Do you win a pennant in the month of April or May, or do you win it in June or July or August or September? And do you take a chance on maybe tiring your pitching staff out? A one-hopper, but Billy Ripken is right there. And there's 2 down. I mean, what about the Orioles? Obviously, they lost the pennant in the month of April, right?
Well, I think the most commonly used phrase in close ball games that a team maybe goes through a slump in April and May is you hear this so often that you can lose a pennant in April or May. And if that's the case, then the reverse can hold true. I think in a tightly contested division like the American League East, you can lose a pennant. Yes, you can. You can lose a pennant in April or May. If there's good competition, good parity, good balance in that division. But as Ward takes the high curveball, but, you know, again, there's 2 schools of thought on that. There's a school of thought that says don't pitch guys in relief out of the rotation. Then there's a school of thought that says, yeah, you can use them a little bit if you need them, especially on the days they were going to throw. Well, I'm from that school. I believe that you can, especially in guys who are working in 5-day rotations.
Hit out into center field and pretty deep. Lynn is on his hotch as he makes a catch as he's got the glasses down. The sun is really bright here at Memorial Stadium on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And at the end of 3.5 innings of play, it's the Yankees 9 and the Orioles 2. Well, we move into the bottom of the 4th inning. It'll be Larry Sheets, Keith Hughes, and Terry Kennedy, the scheduled 3 batters due up for the Baltimore Orioles. It's the Yankees 9 and the Orioles 2 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And it was really almost all over with after the first inning as the Yankees came up with 9 big runs off of the Baltimore Orioles. 2 pitchers used in that inning. Jay Tibbs, who started the ball game and then left after only 4 batters that he faced. Mark Williamson into the game. But looking at the standings in the American League, first of all, in the American League East, starting today's ball game, New York holds a 1.5 game lead over Cleveland. In second place, Detroit, 3.5 games behind the Yankees. And it's Milwaukee 6 games and moving Boston Red Sox 8 games. Toronto has really struggled, 26-29 on the year, 9.5 games out of first place. And of course, the Baltimore Orioles with the worst record in all of baseball, 22.5 games back to the Yankees. As Larry Sheets leads it off here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Sheets double down the right field line. Back in the second inning, he's 1 for 1. Sheets basically a dead pull hitter. Fouls that one back and out of play. This organization, the Orioles, really struggling. Got some aging veterans. That's down low. No, it's in there for a call strike. 0-2. Dotson working in front of Sheets now. Hawk, what do you do with an organization? Where do you start? I mean, you got, like I said, some aging veterans. Hit on the ground towards the shortstop. Santana low throw, and it gets away from Gary Ward. I think Gary just got his feet tied up a bit down there. He didn't make a good stretch on it. He wasn't in position to really stretch out on that low throw.
A little bit of an errant throw by Santana, but still, as Bobby mentioned, Gary making a little bit of a commitment too quick. And then he just couldn't get there. You can see that ball could have easily been caught.
So what do you do, Hawk?
Bobby, I'd say I think...
Where do you start?
By trading your trade, in my opinion, I think the first thing you'd have to do is look at trading Murray. But timing is such a factor now when you're in the shape that the Orioles are in. I think you got to bite the bullet. You got to trade the guys who have market value for some good young kids, as this could be a pair right here. Randolph will tag him, go on to first, rack him up. Double play. That's the 48th twin killing of the year by the Yankees.
Well, no doubt that Eddie Murray, his name has been mentioned many, many times in trades, but Murray is making an awful lot of money as you take a look at this double play, and Willie just makes it easy. Hey, how do you trade a guy like Eddie Murray, who is not the youngest guy in the world? He makes a big salary, and he looks like that he could be fading.
Well, that's why I say the timing. Right now is not the right time. But come, late July, August, you're going to probably have some nice pennant races going on. And let's take, for an example, hypothetically, the Dodgers. The Dodgers can certainly afford to take a contract like Eddie Murray. Let's say they're locked up over there in the National League West in the pennant race in August. Then they might do it at that point in time. But right now, I don't think the market value, dollar received for dollar traded, is quite big enough for the Orioles to go ahead and make that move. But I would say before the year is over, yeah, to trade Murray. Possibility even trading Cal Ripken because of the fact this is the last year on his contract. You've got a guy out there who's going to be making over $2 million a year. This club is not going to win this year or next year or possibly, probably in 1990. So you bite the bullet. Anybody who has good market value that they could trade to make a deal for just 2 or 3 good young kids from an organization, I think you've got to do it. Larry Sheets, as we talked about earlier, has good trade value. As Kennedy has an awful bad at bat right there. Skinner will take his time.
That'll end the inning, easy inning. It turns out for Richard Dotson that the double play takes him out of it. At the end of 4, it's the Yankees 9 and the Orioles 2. Well, Mark Williamson taking his warm-up tosses here in the top of the 5th inning as the Yankees are coming to bat. Santana, Skinner, and Henderson, the scheduled 3. It's the Yankees 9 and the Orioles 2. Well, we looked at the Eastern Division race. Let's take a look at the Western Division race as Oakland. Boy, they are mighty and strong this year, not only with offense, but pitching. And they are running away with that Western Division right now. They lead the Minnesota Twins 11 games. By 11 games. They also lead Texas by 11 games. Kansas City 12.5 games back. Chicago White Sox 15.5 games back. And Seattle 16.5. California 19.5 games back in that Western Division. So the Western Division really strengthened themselves as far as the Oakland A's are concerned. They are not a pushover division anymore. And the Yankees are ending a 32-game streak that they have been playing against nothing but Western Division teams. As Santana leads it off, the first pitch is over for a called strike. But to get back to our discussion about the Orioles and the record pace that they are setting here in 1988 on the losing side, that is. And what do you do to put this Oriole organization back on track again? Because swing and a miss and foul back. As I remember the Baltimore Orioles, especially back in the late 60s, early 70s, what an organization they had, not only in the minor league system, but on the major league level. They did not make any mistakes. They, in fact, won ball games on their opponents' mistakes, foul back and out of play. But it's a completely different ball club now. The organization cannot dip down in the minor leagues, and you just don't build a great organization overnight anymore. But what happens? What happens to an organization to get themselves in this kind of a jam?
Well, it's a process that happens, trying to win, going out in the free agent market, spending a lot of money there, not giving kids in the minor leagues an opportunity to come up. And it's like the pyramid or the domino effect. It just filters all the way down through the system. And then, of course, with the draft today, you know, everybody's always talking about this organization's better than that organization. There are only a few organizations in baseball, in my opinion, that have a clear-cut edge when it comes to being thorough all the way up and down. There's a hard one hopper to Ripken. He'll just knock it down, control it. And Santana's gone. But you're better off taking a clear-cut direction, clear-cut way of action, and biting the bullet, as I mentioned a while ago, to the point that you trade these guys, you bring in young fellows, and I'll tell you, guys done an outstanding job in that same kind of direction as Sid Thrift of the Pirates. Sid's done an outstanding job.
So you just put them on a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan or what have you, and hopefully you make the right decisions when you do make those major trades. And the young people, as Joel Skinner steps in, that's a pie for a ball, 1-0. Well, they've made some changes. Obviously, they've got a new general manager. Roland Heeman is over here. Cal Ripken Jr. Sr. was let go early in the season. He was replaced by Frank Robinson. They have a new GM and a new manager. So maybe that's the direction that they are going to take. We'll just have to wait and see. They haven't really made any blockbuster trades as of yet. They made one in Mike Young when they traded him before the season started to Philadelphia and brought two or three guys over here, Shue and a couple of guys, but nothing that's that's a blockbuster deal.
No, as I said, the timing will dictate that. Right now, the market value for Boddicker, he has a little bit, but it's not that great. But you come August or September, and a club has an injury to the pitching staff, as that's back out of play, or also somebody gets locked in. Boddicker, last couple times out, has pitched well. He threw the ball very well against the Yankees. So as time and circumstances will dictate the market value. If you trade him now, you're not going to get that much for him. Maybe 2 months from now, you'll get $1.50 more than you would right now.
Outside for a ball, 3-2. But on the other hand, there's got to be some organizations out there lurking, thinking that they are going to make the better of the deal too.
Oh, no question about that.
With the Orioles.
Boy, they're looking to kill you if they can.
Hit hard and backhanded nicely. A long throw by Ripken, and it's up high as Skinner makes a slide in at first base.
Almost broke his leg.
Well, I guess so, and it was a late slide. That'll be an infield hit for Skinner.
Ripken playing very, very deep. He'll catch this ball out on the outfield grass. But the thing here, as far as all Yankee fans are concerned, watch Skinner slide. Bobby mentioned very late. He could have broken his leg very easily.
Very easily. One thing about Ripken at shortstop is he's got a lot of baseball savvy, a lot of sense out there, because he plays one of the shallowest shortstops that I've ever seen. You saw him that time playing deep, but he knew Joel Skinner did not have speed, as Ricky Henderson takes the ball down low, 1-0, but he plays that advantage, and he takes that percentage. He knows that he doesn't move quickly to his left and to his right, and he doesn't have a lot of speed himself, so he takes advantage of it upstairs.
Well, we talked about it earlier. He cheats more than any shortstop, or I'll put it this way. He cheats as much as any shortstop in this league, probably as much as anybody in baseball.
That's down low for a ball. 2-0 on Henderson. Henderson has had quite a day so far. This is his 4th trip to the plate. Back in the first inning, he walked, came around, and scored, and he had a base hit with 2 RBIs. That all came in the first inning. Then he doubled down the left field corner back in the 3rd inning. He's 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored so far. Swing and a miss. Foul back and out of play. 2-1 on Henderson now. One down here in the top of the 5th inning. Yankees lead at 9-2. Well, I guess you got to be really patient.
Well, that's the thing, Bobby. The erosion of an organization just doesn't happen because of 1 year. It's a number of years that it just keeps declining. And when that happens, as you mentioned earlier, it's just very, very difficult. It takes time. Now, to say one of the most vulgar terms in baseball is 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Because what that immediately denotes to the fans is we're in trouble and we're not going to be winning. But yet, the one thing that you do not want to set in a franchise is indifference or apathy. And that, even though the Orioles are drawing pretty well here, if they continue like this, then that indeed will set in here in Baltimore.
Count is 3-1 on Henderson. And the pitch is up high, ball 4. So Henderson walks for his second time here in this ball game. It is the second base on balls given up by Mark Williamson, number 5. Total for the Orioles. Willie Randolph stepping in. Joel Skinner moved down to second. Runners at first and second for Willie. Willie also had a base hit back in the first inning. 1 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI. 1 for 3 on the day. Down low for a ball. Willie is yet to get really on track with the bat offensively, but he has done everything else on the field, and as a leader, he's the co-captain of this ball club. Herm Storett is on his way to the mound, and he has got a path that he has worn out there so far this afternoon. I'm sure he's been out there a few times already this season. This is his third or fourth trip.
This is his third trip out there today. But the thing is, with the Orioles staff last year, their pitching was the worst in baseball. And at that point, that's what I think that they have to focus in and zero in on, is going out and trading your guys that we talked about, possibly trading an Eddie Murray, possibly trading a Cal Ripken, possibly trading a Larry Sheets, to contending ball clubs who do have the talent in their organization to give up a couple of young, good arms. You can always trade pitching. That's the one commodity you can always trade. Now, if you go for position players, then you might have some problems, but you can always trade pitching. So if you trade those guys, come up with 5 or 6 good arms, then you got a chance to get there faster.
Up high, 2-0 to Willie Randolph. Well, you take Mark Williamson. He was in that deal with Terry Kennedy that sent Storm Davis to the San Diego Padres. And also, I guess you got to say, okay, Herm Storett, yes, he does go to the mound quite a bit, but they are in a teaching process, too, right now. 2-0 pitch, a 2. Harper could be 2. Ripken to Ripken for a 1, and that's all they'll get.
Ricky got there too quick.
So there's 2 down. Skinner moves to third base.
This is the hardest we've seen this infield.
Boy,
it's the hardest I can ever recall seeing this infield. Boy, that ball, you see Henderson right there, precludes Billy Ripken from trying to even turn one over.
It's almost like cement down there. That's how hard it is.
It's almost like the infield at Dodger Stadium or the Big A in Anaheim.
Claudell Washington stepping in. What a day he's had. He's 3 for 3, and he swings at a breaking ball and fouls it off the arm, it looks like, of Terry Kennedy, the catcher. Claudell on the day is, as I mentioned, 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Came into this series in the first 2 games, 3 for 10 against the Orioles and 4 RBIs. So you can make that 6 for 13 and 5 RBIs so far for Claudell against these Baltimore Orioles. And it's 0-2 on him in this count.
Bobby, you brought up an interesting point earlier. As you look at right-hander Don Ossie loosening up with the Birds down in the pen. And that was the fact of who came in after Brooks Robinson had his great career here. Of course, it was Doug DeCinces. You mentioned him. And he just couldn't handle the heat. But next inning, we'll talk about a similar scenario with the Yankees. I know when there was talk in spring training and during the first part of the year, and it looked like Dave Winfield had an excellent opportunity to be traded there, the discussion was, who the hell's going to take his place? And not so much talent-wise. It's almost getting to the point today in today's marketplace that you have to have a psychological profile on players. to find out who can stand the heat, who can play in New York, and who can't play in New York.
Well, that becomes a big factor in today's game. And it's a proven factor already. That's a good point. 2-2 the count on Washington. Hit out in center field and coming on is Lynn, and he'll get there. Waddell didn't hit it hard, but Lynn was playing him perfectly. No runs on one base hit. The Yankees lead 2, and at the end of 4.5 innings of play, Yankees 9, Orioles 2. Bottom of the 5th inning here at Memorial Stadium as Richard Dotson continues to take his warm-up tosses here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Rene Gonzalez, Billy Ripken, and Joe Orsulak, the scheduled 3 batters due up for the Baltimore Orioles. It's all Yankee as they took a 9-0 lead. The top half the 1st inning as the Yankees scored 9 runs on 13 base hits in that inning. Rene Gonzalez 0 for 1 in this game. He's fouled out to the catcher, Joel Skinner, but does a job on the Yankees, and believe me, he is up there to take his swing. Hard guy to walk. On the outside corner for a called strike.
Yet as aggressive as he is, probably what they keep telling Rene is, hey, you got to be more patient. Seems like every time a guy has something that is a positive for him, they try to gear it down a little bit.
Breaking ball misses low and outside, so the count goes to 1-1 on Gonzalez. 33 lifetime hits against the New York Yankees in just a short period of time. 5 for 10 in this series. A little looper out into center field, moving over his crews. Now coming on is Washington. He makes the catch and is 1 down. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast the high sky. No clouds in the sky here, so presents a big problem for the outfielders. A lot of sunshine. They've got to use their glasses. Also, you got to add the wind. The wind is gusting around 15 to 20 miles an hour, blowing from left field to right field as Billy Ripken steps in. Ripken takes a fastball up high for a ball. Well, you mentioned Ripken, if he doesn't get his average up, he came into this ball game batting 170. He's walked and scored in this game so far. Fouls this one off to the left side. Now will a wind help it stay in as Mike Pagliarulo moves in front of the Oriole dugout. It's on top of him back into the stand. But they've got a kid, Pete Stanizak. That's a pretty good little player. He's got something wrong with his hand. He's on the disabled list right now, and it's scheduled to come off very soon. If they bring him off, you think that Ripken could be sent down?
I don't know what their situation is. I've seen Stanisic play as you have, and from what he has shown against the Yankees, he looks like a pretty good little player. But I sure like a lot of the things that Ripken does. He's smart second baseman, doesn't have a whole bunch of range, and I think he's going to hit. I know one thing. The Orioles have to be concerned with the state of mind of Cal Jr. Letting his dad go as a manager. Possibility of maybe demoting Billy, being the last year of his contract. And if there's a situation, if they want to sign him, they're going to have to make some adjustments.
Well, I know Billy Ripken, he hit for the Orioles last year. He spent part of the season with Rochester down in the dirt. Did he go around? They appealed out of the first base umpire, John Shulock. If they appealed, he did something, some other kind of a gesture that I don't recognize. And the count is 3-2. But last year for Baltimore, Billy Ripken hit .308 in 234 ABs. So he's a proven hitter so far. Outside, ball 4, so that's the second time that Billy Ripken has walked. But he has been struggling. I think he's just kind of fallen into the losing pattern as the Orioles, and just nothing has gone right so far for him.
Which is tough for a young kid to break in like that. In essence, his first full year in the big leagues, and all of a sudden you're on a club that starts out 0-21. Your environment will get you. I don't care what profession you're in or where you're at, your environment will get you.
Joe Orsulak steps in. He's 2 for 2, 2 doubles, 1 down the left field line, 1 down the right field line. He's also scored a run. Off-speed pitches on the outside corner for a called strike.
Billy Ripken, though, reminds me, he could be, in my opinion, a player like Marty Barrett of the Red Sox, who's physically not a real good second baseman. Meanwhile, bottom line, he's a good second baseman.
Another base hit for Orsilac. Billy Ripken holds at second base as Cruz delivers it back into the infield. So the Orioles have runners at first and second, and only one down here in the bottom of the fifth. That'll bring up Freddie Lynn, who is 0 for 2 in this game. He flied out to the center fielder Washington back in the first inning and then struck out in the third.
This is a big inning right here for Dot. He's got the 9-2 lead, but sometimes Dot will hit that little period there. He can lose it. He can lose it in a hurry. Joel Skinner out to talk to him, but again, the circumstances today dictate the fact that he's got to try to go some innings out there.
Foul back out of play, and Freddie Lynn just missed that one. In Dotson's last start, which came on May the 30th against Oakland, only 5 1/3 innings, as he gave up only 1 run on 7 base hits. He got a no decision in that game. Also on May the 23rd, hit on the ground. This could be 2. Randolph to Santana for 1. Off the beat throw and pulls Ward off the bag from Santana. They do not get the double play, and the Orioles will have runners at first and third with 2 down.
There's a play you don't want to see come back and haunt you. Here's an easy double play, and just a bad throw by Raphael. Good changeup by Dotson had Fred way out in front, and this is just major league routine. You'll see right here as Santana comes across, pulls Gary off the sack.
So Ripken moves into third base as Cal Ripken Jr. steps in to bat. He's 0 for 2. He's hit the ball hard. Got 2 RBIs. That pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0. Well, let's see. The longest stint for Dotson came on May the 11th against the Chicago White Sox, his old ball club, as he went 9 innings in that game. On the outside corner, a beauty by Dotson. 1-1 now, Ripken.
Yeah, Dot has good velocity this afternoon. Of course, velocity with Dotson is not prime. It's not paramount.
No.
Location, changing speeds, and having the good motion with that changeup.
Hit on the ground, a 2-hopper. Santana to Randolph as they force the runner. No runs on 1 base hit. The Orioles leave 2. At the end of 5, it's the Yankees 9 and the Orioles 2.
The Sports Channel would like to welcome Manhattan Cable and Paragon Cable TV subscribers who are watching our coverage of today's New York Yankees game as part of a free preview. Remember, Sports Channel is your stop for a Subway Series summer.
Top of the 6th inning, Jack Clark leads it off, followed by Jose Cruz, Mike Pagliarulo. You know, Hawk, I thought an interesting statement made by the departed manager, Cal Ripken Sr. in spring training. They asked him, well, what do the Orioles need here in 1988? I mean, what do you really need? And he said he had analyzed the ball club over the winter, and he said they needed speed, pitching, and outfield defense. That doesn't leave a whole lot.
I'm sure if he could have put them in order to have been pitching and speed.
No doubt about it. I tell you what, I've always contended that, hey, you give me a 24-man roster of pitchers and quality pitchers to start spring training, and let me put my ball club together, and I'll guarantee you I will have a tremendous contending ball club.
No question. No, as I said earlier, you can always trade pitching. Sometimes you can't trade position players because the market is not as big for position players as it is. Everybody, 26 clubs are looking for pitching.
Jack Clark leads it off here in the top of the 6th inning. Yankees 9, Orioles 2, and the pitch is down in the dirt by Mark Williamson, 1-0.
And you know what's jumping right up there, right next to it? Certainly it's a distant second, but it's catching.
That's in there for a called strike. 1-1 now to Clark.
Those are the two things, pitching by far, then catching, that everybody is looking for.
All right, if that is so thin, how can the people in baseball expand to another 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 teams?
It'd be awful tough, Merce. Awful tough.
2-1 to count on Clark.
I don't think there's any question they realize that.
Three balls and 1 strike to Jack Clark. Clark, Cruz, and Pagliarulo, the scheduled 3 batters here in the top of the 6th inning. High fly ball out into left field. Orsilac has a beat on it. Now the wind has got it, and Orsilac stays with it, makes the catch.
Jack just missed it, just a hair late.
You know, when you're a big guy that can swing as hard as Jack Clark, you just miss a lot of them because it's just that split instance where you pull off of it or you get underneath it a bit and you pull your head out and you look at the wind and the flags just straight out, blowing from left field to right field as Jose Cruz steps in. Shortstop Ripken has it, and there's 2 down. The Yankees have gone 1, 2, 3 in only 1 inning, that being in the 4th inning. As Mark Williamson is working now in his 5th inning, actually 6th inning, because he came in with nobody out in the top half of the 1st inning to replace Jay Tibbs. Mike Pagliarulo steps in. Pags 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Swings and misses at a breaking ball, 0-1. The hitters and the infielders are bothered a lot right now by the dust that is blowing as this wind continues to gust around home plate and the infield. Another off-speed pitch swung on and missed, 0-2. Well, if the Yankees were drowning in their sorrows after that heartbreaking loss last night after 14 innings of play, they certainly are not showing it here. That's outside and low, 1-2. They came right out and just put it right to the Baltimore Orioles.
It's one of the beautiful things about baseball, all the nuances that come into play.
Fly ball into center field. Lynn broke back, and now he comes on to make the catch. Well, the second 1, 2, 3 inning for the Orioles and Williamson here in the 6th inning at the end of 5.5 innings of play. Yankees 9, Orioles 2. As we move to the bottom of the 6th inning, you can see the wind is blowing. But it's a beautiful day despite the wind, and the wind is certainly not taking anything away as far as the sunshine is concerned here at Memorial Stadium. A lot of youngsters on hand and having a wonderful time as you see a lot of Yankee fans. Just a lot of Yankee fans all over the United States. Every ballpark that we go to, I mean, it seems like to me now, I notice Yankee fans, I think, a little bit more than certain other people do, but it looks like to me that there's always more Yankee fans at these home ballparks for other ball clubs than there are for their own ball. As Eddie Murray steps in, takes a ball low and outside.
Well, you know, this morning at the hotel, I mean, the fans that were there were just, the whole lobby was just crowded. And that's the way it is. I told Clyde King, as that's ripped into right field for a base hit. Cruz takes it on the second bounce. And I told Clyde this morning, I said, when I was with the Red Sox, I used to think that the fans were just in abundance. But believe me, it's nothing like the Yankees.
Are you talking about the greatest name in franchise history? New York Yankees. You can go just about anywhere in the world. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world and mention the name Yankees. They know what you're talking about. As Larry Sheets steps in, it's one out into right center field and deep. Going back is Washington on its back and makes the catch as he crashes up against the wall. What a play by Claudell Washington. We've seen a lot of play out of Claudell Washington and some great catches just like that already here in 1988.
Here's a fine play, and the reason being, you might think he's jumping a little early. He knew that he had a chance. He didn't know exactly where the fence was. He knew he had a chance to hit it, So he made his commitment and made the catch. He has covered some ground out there for the Yankees last year and this year. There's a fine catch.
And plays like that keep the opposing ball club out of big innings. There's one down, and Keith Hughes steps in. Hughes is 0 for 2. He is grounded out and grounded into a double play, and you can see Larry Sheets and the puzzlement on his face. What else can go wrong as far as he's concerned? Keith Hughes takes a pitch down low for a ball, 1-0. Well, it was Sheets last year that provided 31 home runs for the Orioles. The old spark is gone so far this year. Outside for a ball, 2-0.
And you're starting to see more and more players, more hitters, I should say, talking about the ball. That the ball is just not carrying anywhere like it did last year. We've talked about it, Bruce, where you really notice it, as we've cited so many times, where you really notice it is not so much how far the ball goes as how quickly it gets through the infield. And the ball is just not as lively as it was in 1987.
Well, in 1987, we saw some broken bat home runs. I mean, people just saw their bats off in tune. 3-0 pitches down low and inside, ball 4. So Hughes will be on. Murray will move to second base. And Terry Kennedy will be the batter. But some unbelievable, like check swing, look like check swing, little bloopers, and they go out of the ballpark. Which they set all kinds of records, and I won't bring that up again, but home run records in 1987. Terry Kennedy in this ball game is 0 for 2, grounded out and struck out. Swings and fouls it back and out of play. A lot of reasons, though, why the ball was jacked up last year, why the ball may not be jacked up this year. The stitching, who stitches it, where.
And what time of the day.
What time of the day. Where they are kept.
How they're stored. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, what time of the day, it's an interesting theory last year that they had put on some more shifts down in Haiti where they make the balls. And there's a good change by Dotson. So because of that, instead of having the one shift, they had 2, and you were getting stronger fingers that were sewing the seams and the stitches in the balls. So there was tighter wound.
Now that is really technical.
But you know what?
Has some merit.
You're dead-gum right. It's logical.
High and outside, 1 and 2 on Kennedy. Well, that place you just came from, Comiskey Park and the Chicago White Sox, I know they used to store their baseballs back in the middle 60s and late 60s in the cellar.
In the freezer.
Come out with a frozen ball.
Freezer.
Strike 3 right on the outside corner as Dotson paints a perfect pitch on Kennedy, and there's 2 down.
Good fastball by Dottie. Showed him the good change. Showed, in fact, everything in his arsenal right there. And here he comes back with a heat. Tailing just to catch it.
Rene Gonzalez steps in, 0 for 2 in this game. Runners at first and second for the Orioles. The Yankees lead at 9-2 here in the bottom of the 6th. Grounder, Pags, it's off his glove. He'll knock it down. He'll hold the runners at third base, and Eddie Murray. Orioles have the bases loaded now with 2 down. Similar play last night. Mike Pagliarulo, the ball was hit a little bit harder, and he ended up throwing it away at first base.
Well, sometimes as a pitcher will aim a pitch. Watch how Pags approaches this one. Got his glove in good position down low, but he was feeling for it just a shade. And on a short hop like that, just couldn't come up with it.
And with this hard infield, the ball seems like it just picks up speed as Billy Ripken steps in. And the breaking ball is down low and outside, 1-0. Nobody warming up for the Yankees. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Not a whole bunch of them to warm up.
No.
as Mike Ferraro, the interim manager, acting manager, comes out.
Well, as I say that, then some activity begins in the Yankee bullpen as Ferraro makes that slow walk to the mound. Well, you mentioned earlier, Hawk, that this is the time that Dotson could start losing it here in the middle innings, and when he loses it, you can tell in a hurry.
I've seen Dot pitch virtually almost his whole career in the big leagues, and one thing about him is that he seems to be the kind of guy who has to catch that second win. Now, if he has a lead, certainly like he does here, Yankees leading 9-2. I think what Ferraro's doing right now is just give him a little bit of a breather out there. Give him a few seconds, calm him down a little bit, give him a few blows. But the thing about Dot is that once he catches that second breath, then he's all right. But if you catch him in there, like they had an opportunity to do last inning, and then what saved Dot right now has been a beautiful play by Claudell Washington.
In there for a called strike, so it's 1-1 on Ripken.
He's a fun guy to watch because, as I said earlier, velocity does not mean anything to Dotson. He can be throwing hard and still being hit.
High fly ball into center field. Should be an easy play for Washington. Well, the Orioles threaten here in the bottom of the sixth inning. They leave the bases loaded, and at the end of 6 innings to play, Yankees 9 and the O's 2. For the Orioles, the third of the day, Don Ossie will come on here in the top of the 7th inning. And Ossie will be facing Gary Ward, Rafael Santana, and Joel Skinner, the bottom 3 in the Yankee order. Ossie on the year is making his 9th appearance for the Orioles. No record, won or loss. He has a 5.59 earned run average, only 9 2/3 innings. 9 hits, 6 runs, and he has struck out 5. So Ossie becomes the third Oriole pitcher used in this game as Mark Williamson leaves. Yankees lead at 9-2. And we're moving into the latter 3 innings of this ball game, and here to take you the rest of the way is the Hawk Kid Harrelson.
Thank you very much, Merce. It'll be Ward, Santana, and Skinner to face the 33-year-old right-hander Don Ossie. 6'3", 222 pounds, out of Yorba Linda, California. Originally in the Boston Red Sox organization, went over to the Angels back in 1978. And now with Baltimore as Gary Ward takes the ball. Gary 0 for 3 this afternoon. He struck out twice, has gone out to center. Up high and the count 2-0. Ossie, when he is right, has one of the best sliders in all of baseball. 9 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Yankees. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 large error for Baltimore. That's out to play right side, and the count 2-1. Mark Williamson did a good job. Line on Mark was 5 2/3, 6 runs, no earned runs. That's what we meant by the large error. No earned runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, and had 3 strikeouts. A little looper in the right field as here comes Hughes, makes a nice catch. Keith Hughes.
On a normal day, I think that ball would have been a base hit, but the wind is blowing left field to right field. It just hung the ball up there long enough for Hughes to run under it. I think it even surprised him.
Here's Santana. Walked and scored in the first. Flied to left in the second and bounced to second in the 5th. Good fastball by Ossie on the outer half, and the count 0-1.
Well, you could tell you blew into town, I'll tell you that. You brought all this wind from Chicago.
No. Brought you all the runs, kid. Nine runs in the first by the Yankees. Ball and 2 strikes to Santana. Breaking ball misses. Santana now 1 for 9 in this series. Yankees in a tough one last night, lose at 7-6 and 14. Longest game, time-wise, in Oriole history. Right on the outside corner, so that'll ring up Santana. 4th strikeout by Baltimore pitching this afternoon.
Not a whole lot you can do about a strike like that, except hope the umpire calls it a ball.
Here's Joel Skinner. He's fighting that gusty wind here at Memorial Stadium this afternoon. Skinner hit the ball that Ripken made the error on. Right on the outside corner. Struck out in the 3rd and had an infield single in the 5th. (1-1) the count. It will be the Boston Red Sox coming to Yankee Stadium tomorrow, first of a 3-game set. Neil Allen, who did such a magnificent job out at the Coliseum in Oakland against the A's, against the left-hander Bruce Hurst. Curveball, can't get it. On Tuesday, the scheduled starter is Al Leiter, but that is still doubtful. And the pitcher for the Red Sox on Tuesday will be Dennis Oil Can Boyd. On Wednesday, it's old UN undecided for the Yankees and Roger Clemens for the Red Sox. So Boston sending the best they have against the Yankees in that 3-game set. And then, of course, they will have an off day on Thursday. Then it'll be the same Baltimore Orioles coming in for a 3-game series. So the Yankees with a 6-game homestand. The 1-2 delivery. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, the Yankees still looking for some of their guys to come off of that disabled list. They've got like a who's who almost on the DL. Timmy Stoddard is on the disabled list. He was put on with that sore right knee. Of course, Don Mattingly has yet to take batting practice. Don Slott is on the DL. Don Slott beginning to take a little bit of a swing at a few things, and they're waiting for him to see if he can't run, and squat down, where he won't have the problems. He went out with a groin injury. Wayne Tollison is traveling with the ball club, strengthening his arm and taking batting practice and infield every day. Also, Ron Guidry is traveling with the ball club, throwing on the side.
That's outside ball 4, so Skinner works Ozzie for a walk, and that'll bring up the leadoff hitter Ricky Henderson. He is 2 for 2 this afternoon, 2 runs scored and 2 knocked in. Well, that's one reason the Yankees have done such a good job this year, maintaining that record of 34-16, or check the 34-18, 16 games over the 500 mark, and a 1.5-game lead. Injuries are just as big a part of the game as throwing, hitting, and running. And you've got to overcome them.
This shows the depth on the ball club.
Everybody's chipped in. Candelaria has just been huge in that respect this year. And Richard Dodson this afternoon going out there knowing that he has got to give some innings. And thus far, he's got them through the first 6. Short lead by Skinner, and the count 2-0 to Henderson. Ricky, of course, as we mentioned, now the all-time stolen base leader for the Yankees at 249, taking over from Hal Chase. Also, Ricky, 742 career stolen bases. That's 7th on the all-time list. Understandably, everybody taking a lot of time out there. The hitter, the pitchers, because of the wind. Boy, this is a good one here, Merce.
You bet.
That's outside 3-0. Kennedy having a tough time on the plate. Boy, the old bench jockeys would have a time with him this afternoon, wouldn't they?
They sure would.
Crate me up a box. There's the fastball in and over. Back out of play, and the count goes full.
I can just hear some of those guys over there now telling Kennedy. I'm not sure they tell him it during this game here, but somewhere along the line they say, would you mind mixing in a catch once in a while? You know?
Who's the best bench jockey you ever saw?
Nettles. Nettles was, he didn't sit on the bench, but he kept everybody loose. Oscar Gamble.
There goes Skinner. A pie ball 4. So after getting 2 quick out, Ossie walks Skinner, walks Henderson, and that'll bring up Willie Randolph.
I can't overlook Catfish Hunter. Catman, he kept you loose. He had something to say about everybody.
He was one of the best. He was one of the best I ever saw.
How about you? Did you used to get on guys?
Oh,
they
pitchers.
They just got on. They get on you all the time.
I used to get on pitchers quite a bit. Boy, there were some vicious things said.
Was this after you got a base hit or after you made an out or what?
No, not so much that. Just when you get certain guys out there who, you know, the prima donna types.
Like who?
Palmer, guys like that. Check swing by Willie. Willie this afternoon, 1 for 3, had a big double back in the first inning, knocking in the first inning, knocking in 2 runs. Outside, the count 1-1. Outfield playing Willie well around to the right. Gap between Orsilac in left and Lennon center. Ground ball to Ripken. Easy play over to his brother, Billy, and that'll do it. Nothing across for the Yankees. No hits, couple of walks, no errors, 2 men left, and after 6.5, Yankees on top 9-2.
California 2-1 over Milwaukee at the end of 2.5 innings of play. And over in the National League, it's the New York Mets 7-9-10. Well, let's see there. Wait a minute. That's 7-11. 12-0 over the Chicago Cubs. How many is that? 11. Well, I mean, what can you do? But significantly in that ball game, Dwight Gooden had a no-hitter going through the 7th inning, but Damon Berry led the 8th inning off with a base hit, so the no-hitter is, Damon Berryhill, that is. The no-hitter has been broken in the top of the 8th inning off of Dwight Gooden. Philadelphia 5 and St. Louis 1 at the end of 6 innings of play. It's Montreal 3 and Pittsburgh 2 at the end of 7. Cincinnati is at Los Angeles, Houston at San Francisco, and Atlanta at San Diego. Those are later starts out on the West Coast.
Okay, Bobby, right here it's the bottom of the 7th inning. Yankees lead at 9-2, all 9 runs coming in the first. Checking some particulars for you on our Wiz scoreboard. Toronto at Boston. The starters in that game were Steve and Jeff Sellers. Sellers trying to get on the board. Coming into the day, he was 0-5. Steve on a 6-game roll. He's got his record up to 7-3. Joe Orsilac has been perfect on the afternoon. 2 doubles and a single. There's a strike, and the count evens at 1. Flash a note out there on the scoreboard. The Yankees and the Orioles are tied in their lifetime series over 34 years, 292 each. The 2-1 delivery by Dotson. Out of play. Cleveland at Detroit, as Bobby mentioned. Tigers leading 4-2. Swindell against Tanana. Home runs in that ball game. Willie Upshaw, his 6th of the year, and Brooke Jacoby hit his 4th. Oakland and Minnesota, Twins leading 3-0. Welch against Anderson. Lombardozzi, a 2-run shot in the first inning. That's his 1st of the year. That's low, and the count goes full. Ground ball, Ward. He'll suck it up, make the play, and that's 1 out. Starters in the Seattle-Kansas City game. Royals leading 3-1 after 3.5. Nunez against Gubazov.
Center fielder,
Easy play for Ward. California, Milwaukee, that's McCaskill against Bosio. Angels leading 2-1 after 2.5 at County Stadium. Here's Freddie Lynn. He's drawn the column. Flied to center, struck out, and hit into a force play. He just misses his curveball as Jose Cruz comes on, makes the catch, and quickly, 2 gone.
He just missed that curveball because Dotson had him out in front and he hit it off the end of the bat.
Shortstop, Cal.
Freddie Lynn had the right idea, though, in this wind. Uppercut, get it in the air if you can.
Go to Hackett up. Here's Cal Ripken. He's 0 for 2, but has driven in both Oriole runs with a force out in the first and a sacrifice fly in the third. Cal Jr. been around a long time and only 27 years of age. Outfield straight away, spread out. That's off the end of the bat and to left center field. Claudell's there with a nice running catch. That's his second nice running catch of the ball game. So Dotson, for the first time in the game, retires the Orioles in order. And after 7, 9-2 Bronx Bombers.
In right here to Sports Channel as Stan Fischler hosts the New Jersey Devils, A Coming of Age, the show that covers the Devils' rise from the bottom of the Patrick Division to Stanley Cup contender. The New Jersey Devils coming of age tonight at 7 right here on Sports Channel.
Boy, indeed, they did grow up this year. What a season by the Devils. They made a lot of fans. Right here, it's the top of the 8th inning. Yankees leading 9-2. It'll be Washington, Clark, and Cruz to face the right-hander Don Ossie. 9 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Yankees. 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Orioles. Claudell is 3 for 4. 2 RBIs. The only time he was retired, he hit it hard. Yeah, he's 4 for 5. So Claudell getting on the board in nice fashion. First hit off Ossie. And here comes Jack Clark. Jack has walked, scored a run. Bounced to short, pops to short, and he just missed going deep back in the 6th inning.
Ossie has never had the velocity since that arthroscopic surgery. It's not the same pitcher since the surgery.
Clark just looks at the pitch called by Mike Riley, a strike.
Quite a transition for a pitcher who is basically nothing but a power pitcher, and now all of a sudden you have to become a finesse pitcher, not rely on that good hard stuff all the time to get everybody out.
Jack Clark just rubbing his chin a little bit as he doesn't understand the first 2. Meanwhile, 0-2. I love to watch Clark. Little grounder left side. Rene Gonzalez, long peg over to first. And there's one out. Washington moving into second.
Right fielder, Jose Cruz.
When you come to the stadium, just watch Clark's actions. He's fun. I'll tell you one thing about Clark. He knows how to play this game. He knows exactly what goes on that baseball field. Here's Cruz. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Outfield shading him to hit the left. He's looking for it, got it. He tried to get on top.
Well, there's another guy like Rene Gonzalez, Jose Cruz. I mean, when they go to the plate, like you said, they go up there hacking. They want to get their money's worth.
He lays off that one in the count 1-1. Well, as we talked about before, that is one of the biggest Latin traits. Boy, those kids come out of Latin America, and they come out swinging that bat. They don't walk very much. 2-1. I'll tell you one of the greatest things you ever want to see. I know I had an opportunity to play winter ball for several years in Venezuela. Of course, we went to the Dominican Republic. Let a pitch misses low. Also in Panama. was going out a couple of afternoons like we did, more or less sightseeing, and seeing these kids down there play baseball. I mean, they really get it on. That's outside, ball 4, so Ossie walks his third hitter. And that'll bring up Pagliarulo. Michael had a big 2-run single back in the first. He struck out in the second. Bounced out in the fourth. Flied to center in the sixth.
We're going to have every hot dog wrapper in the stands out on the field before this game is over with.
For some reason, it seems like that every time we used to come into Memorial Stadium, there was that gusting wind. It was either one of the two. It was either very still, as Pags had a pretty good rip right there on the fastball. It was either very still and so hot and humid it was hard to breathe, or the wind was really gusting. Off-speed pitch down low, and the count 1-1.
I used to remember a lot about the 420 game winners that they had on this staff. And those white buildings that we used to talk about that affected play and or seeing the ball at home plate during the daytime.
He also mentioned something that was paramount in the success of the Oriole franchise for many, many years. Year in and year out, they were the best fundamental playing ball club in the league. They had more pickoff plays. They deterred the bunt and hit and run better than any other club. Never beat themselves. They knew how to play the game of baseball. That's low and inside, 2-2. And of course, when you look at those pitching staffs, you know, all those guys were for the most part nice to hit off of. Meanwhile, they were what you call comfortable 0 for 4s. That's high into right center field. Lynn going back on the track, has room, makes the catch as the runners tag, and they will advance. Thought for a second, getting up in that jet stream, that it had an opportunity to leave. Meanwhile, 2 out. Bobby, that's the second time in this game we've seen, again, we could bring up the baseball itself. The one that Sheets hit, now the one that Pags hits.
I actually thought that ball was going out of the ballpark. I thought he got enough of it, and the way the wind is blowing from left field to right field, I just didn't think there was any opportunity for Lynn to drag this ball down, but he stayed right with it. That ball last year would have been almost over the scoreboard.
Here's Ward. He's 0 for 4. They're going to put him on to get to Santana. Gary has struck out. Twice has gone out to center and once to right.
Did you ever go through a period during your career where you thought the ball was more livelier in one year than any other year? Of course, you were using those cork bats.
That's right.
That you finally admitted on the air a few weeks back.
Finally admitted? What do you mean? It was common knowledge.
Oh, they knew you were cheating.
Oh, everybody. Well, I wasn't the only one now, you know. I would say probably a minimum 50, minimum 50, maybe as high as 70% of the guys on our ball club used them.
But not in all the baseball.
Well, I remember when Reggie, back in 1969.
Reggie Smith?
Jackson, when he hit the 47 home runs, he was using that K75 36-35 or 35-35 cork to the hilt.
That was loaded.
I'll tell you what. You talking about some shots.
Now,
of course, Reggie didn't need it.
Why would he want to use a cork bat? He didn't need that.
He hit some of the most ungodly shots back in '69 that's ever been hit in this game by anybody for 1 year. As Santana steps in, takes it up high. 9-2 Yankees on top here in the 8th inning.
Well, I'm distressed. I really am. There's a future Hall of Famer that I've used a cork bat.
Right on the outside corner. And the count evens at 1. Well, as we said, Reggie, I don't ever recall 1 year of seeing guys hit for distance the way he did in 1969. Little loop right into short right field. Keith Hughes is there right behind second base, makes the basket catch, and it'll retire the side. Yankees with a threat here in the 8th. Can't dent home plate. Nothing across. There was a hit, no errors, 3 men left. And after 7.5, 9-2 New York.
The month of June features a great lineup of Yankee promotion days. On Sunday, June the 12th, the Yankees host the Orioles at 1:30, and Wall Bombs presents Yankees Bat Day. The Cleveland Indians visit the stadium June the 23rd through the 26th for a 4-game series, highlighted by these 2 special days. On Saturday, June the 25th, it will be Delwood Yankee Batting Glove Night, and on Sunday, June the 26th, the Yankees host the 5 at 1:30. And immediately following the game, Citibank presents the Beach Boys live and in concert. Get your tickets soon for these great promotion days in June. Tickets are on sale at the stadium or through Ticketmaster. For more information, call the Yankees at 212-293-6000, and we'll see you at the stadium.
Richard Dotson has thus far given the Yankees exactly what they had hoped for. Innings. Bullpen, not in real good shape, but Dotson, going into his 8th inning of work, was helped out by a quick 9-0 lead. 9-2 Yankees over the Orioles. For Baltimore, here in the 8th, it'll be Murray, Sheets, and Keith Hughes. There you see a change as Jay Buhner moves into right field in place of Jose Cruz. Here's Murray. He's 1 for 3. Had a single back in the 6th inning. Takes a strike. Let her high in the count, 0-1.
There's some people around the Oriole organization talking about Eddie Murray needing glasses. And they've asked Eddie Murray about maybe trying some glasses on or contacts, and he swings and misses. And he says, well, I really don't want to wear any because it makes me look too old.
Well, that's real good. The man's paying you $2 million a year. For that reason, if in fact that is the reason, as the 0-2 pitch. Yeah, this might be a situation here that can't be reconciled. He used to be the darling of Memorial Stadium. That's high into right field. Jay Buhner has the beat. Calls Washington off, and there's one gone. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Larry Sheets. He doubled in the 2nd, reached base on an error in the 4th. Back in the 6th inning, hit a ball into right center field. Looked like it was going to leave the yard, and Claudell Washington made a very fine catch on it. One and 0. Good change by Dot.
I think the wind has picked up.
Fastball, he comes back with it. And the count 1-2. It has been gusting all afternoon. Follows the fastball with another change. Count remains a ball and 2 strikes.
Last year, Sheets was taking that ball that he's fouling off to the left side. He's not even getting around on it. One of the reasons is that he's pulling off the ball. But he was taking that ball and drilling it down the right field corner for a home run.
Bobby, he was doing that also against left-handers. I mean, he was outstanding in 1987. Almost drilled him. Full count to Sheets.
He almost drilled Sheets because Sheets is leaning over the plate now. He's been pitching him away, and all of a sudden now Dotson wants to come inside.
That's ball 4, so Dodd walks his 4th hitter.
Right fielder, Keith Hughes.
And with 1 out, that'll bring up Keith Hughes. Twice he has bounced to second, once into a double play. Then he walked back in the 6th inning. Well, again, it's awful tough to have a good year on a club that's 12-41. That's playable in the center. Claudel goes back near the track. 2 out. You played on some good clubs, Bobby. You played on some bad clubs. What a world of difference.
Yeah, but you know what I'm afraid that really happened on this ball club right here is the fact that they are now beginning to accept defeat.
Well, that's what happens on a bad ball club.
Yeah.
You just get to the point that
They come to the ballpark knowing they're going to get beat.
and you come to the ballpark wanting to get it over so you can get back home. As Kennedy out of play. And, you know, again, it's not the individuals themselves for the most part. There are some who are like that, but overall, it's a collective type thing that you try, but it's just not there. You just can't get it up. That's playable in the left. Henderson going back a few steps. Makes the catch, so Dotson will go to the 9th. Carrying a 7-run lead, Yankees lead it 9-2.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and is intended for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Yankees and Sports Channel is prohibited. We've got a new pitcher in the ball game, right-hander Doug Sisk. He comes on to become the 4th Oriole pitcher used. Here in this last game of a 3-game set, the Yankees out in front 9-2 over the O's. And Doug Sisk on the year has got a record of 2-2, 3.06 earned run average. This is his 23rd appearance for the Orioles, 32 1/3 innings pitched. He has struck out 10 and allowed 43 hits in those 32 innings. And he will be facing the bottom of the Oriole order for the Yankees, Joel Skinner, Ricky Henderson, and Willie Randolph, the scheduled 3 batters.
9 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Yankees. 2 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error. 1 big error for the Orioles. Here's Joel Skinner. Skins 1 for 3 this afternoon. Had an infield single back in the 5th inning. Sisk, big fella, 6'2", 210. Out of Renton, Washington. Now resides in Tacoma, of course, starting his Major League career off with the Mets back in 1982. 1-1 the count. Outfield swung around to the left as that wind continues to blow hard from left field to right. Skins can't get the breaking ball. A ball and 2 strikes. A 9-run Yankee first inning. Now the breaking pitch, and that'll do it for Joel. Fifth strikeout for Oriole pitchers this afternoon. That'll bring up the leadoff man, Ricky Henderson. He's 2 for 2. He singled in a pair back in the first inning. He doubled in the 3rd, and he's drawn 3 walks. And once again, be sure to make your plans to be with us at the stadium. Boston Red Sox coming into town tomorrow. First of a 3-game series. Neil Allen against Bruce Hurst. On Tuesday, Al Leiter against Oil Can Boyd. And on Wednesday, Ewan undecided for the Yankees against hard-throwing right-hander Roger Clemens for the Red Sox. One delivery. Watch out. 2-1.
As you can see, Sisk has a lively arm. Ball moves all over the place, but he's got a good slider.
High neck in. Yes, he does. He has good movement. I know when he was having a couple of good years over there with the Mets, he was tough.
What's he call a live arm on a pitcher?
Good sinker. Watch out.
Yay, my knee.
Got Willie Randolph. Hope it did not get him in the hand.
I think it got the bat. I tell you, I don't think I've ever seen that before. That got the bat.
Yeah.
That was a double foul.
I'll tell you what, that could have been disastrous for the Yankees. That almost got him in the hand.
See, the bat boy was alert.
Lord have mercy. The last thing they need. Here's a payoff pitch. Comebacker. Sisk controls it over to Murray, and that's out number 2.
I bet Willie's saying, why they keep picking on my wrist?
Well, he's played in pain now for about 3 weeks, almost a month. And as you mentioned earlier, Bobby, one of the things about Willie is simply his presence on the club, presence on the field, what he has to say in that dugout. So important to the Yankees. He's 1 for 4 this afternoon, had a 2-run double back in the first inning. RBIs for the Yankees today. Henderson has 2, Randolph 2, Washington 2, and Pags has 2. Pags now with 40 on the year. Put another note up there on the board. Willie's 12 years with the Yankees, he's played with 30 different shortstops. You weren't one of them.
I won't touch that one. I
You
knew
weren't one of them.
you were looking right at me when you said that, too.
That's low in the count, 2-1.
Obvious, I would have solidified that shortstop position, and Willie wouldn't have had to
I guess
play with all those guys.
the best way to put that is, who was the best second baseman you played with?
Boy, you know, I hate to say this, but it certainly wasn't Roy White. I did have an opportunity to play a full year with Bobby Richardson, though.
That's not too shabby.
No, he taught me a lot.
2-2 pitch. Ripken should make the play. Calvin's up with it, over to Murray. So Sisk comes in, gets rid of the Yankees in order. 1-2-3. They'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Orioles in trouble. They trail it 9-2. Richard Dodson trying to complete the game right here for the Yankees as they lead Baltimore 9-2. Also the rubber match of this 3-game series. Dot sitting in great shape to pick up career victory number 100. This was his 4th try at it. But as we mentioned earlier, in case you joined us late, the big thing right now is a Dot going all these innings to rest that very tired bullpen. While the Orioles here tonight, scheduled hitters are Rene Gonzalez, Billy Ripken, in the top of the order, Joe Orsulak. Gonzalez 1 for 3, had an infield single back in the 6th inning. Dodd also trying to square his career mark against the Orioles at 8. Pags in at the cut of the grass at 3rd as Gonzalez takes the strike. Gonzalez, a long look down to John Hart, 3rd base coach. Outfield spread out straight away in there short. Curveball outside and the count 1-1. That's playable high. Claudell Washington. Been a busy man out there. Made a couple of real good defensive plays this afternoon.
Tell you what, Claudell has been solid. He was solid last year for the Yankees. The Yankees were hurt quite a bit last year, too. They didn't have quite the depth that they have on this ball club in 88 that they had in, in 87 they have here in 88.
Billy Ripken takes a strike. Billy 0 for 1, a couple of walks. In fact, that put out by Washington his 9th of the game. Ripken a little disgusted with the call by Mike Riley. Yankees with all 9 runs coming back in the first inning. Watch out as he can't get the breaking ball on the count 0-2.
You could have almost stopped the contest after the bottom of the first inning.
Well, again, one of the nuances as you look at Ripken losing the bat, but one of the nuances of baseball, especially in a winning type, trying to be a winning type club, is the fact that the tough one last night, and let's just say, let's turn it around. Let's say the Orioles have come out this afternoon. As there's a ground ball left side. Pags a good stop. Can he get it? He does. Nice play by Pagliarulo.
Outstanding play by the third baseman, Mike Pagliarulo, moving to his left on this hard infield at Memorial Stadium. And this time he gets up and fires a strike to Gary Ward.
And Mike Riley has just thrown out Ripken, I believe. Still beefing about that call for a strike. I believe it was Billy Ripken.
Yeah, it was. Billy must have said something to Mike Riley as he was trotting back across home plate on his way to the Oriole dugout. Frank Roberts is out there now. Mike Riley and Billy Ripken, of course, tempers flare. Now Riley is still chasing Billy Ripken. Frank is out there trying to be the peacemaker, get in between both the player and the umpire. But you know, you go back, this is almost like it's part of the game now, but you go back to the top of the first inning, you know, you can just about go to any inning and pinpoint something that turned the ball game around. And that error back in the first inning.
This should do it. Joe Arcelak pops it up. Here comes Henderson. He makes a catch, and that's a Yankee winner. Dotson retires the Birds in order here in the ninth. Final score, Yankees take the rubber match of this 3-game set, 9-2. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.
Play of the game. It came in the top half of the first inning. Bases are loaded. The Yankees already lead 3-0. There is 2 down. What looked like to be a routine ground ball off the bat of Joel Skinner. And Cal Ripken Jr. has the ball. He bobbles it momentarily, and then all of a sudden he flips it to Billy Ripken at second base, and he cannot hang on to it. The Yankees go on to score 6 more. And we'll be back with more right after this.
For the finale of this 3-game set and the finale of the longest trip of the year, a 12-gamer for the Yankees. 9 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. They stranded 11. For Baltimore, 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. They left 8. The winner, Richard Dotson, he is now 6-1, also picks up his 100th career victory. The loser is Jay Tibbs. And Bobby, I guess the big thing is we were talking about earlier, the storyline of this game right now is the fact that after that heartbreaking loss last night, after this very long road trip, in more ways has almost been like Murphy's Law, as we mentioned, they came back today, scored 9 runs in the first inning, and also Dotson going a complete game to give that bullpen a rest. Integrity
and backbone shown by the New York Yankees. Late ball game last night, as you said, and it could have been a killer. The Yankees could have come out this afternoon and just laid down against the Baltimore Orioles, but instead they just put it to them. Dotson sets the Yankee bullpen up now for what is going to be what I think is a crucial homestand for the New York Yankees this early in the season, but it's the first time that they get back playing the Eastern Division. They've been playing the Western Division now. They got to start in with the Boston Red Sox. The Eastern Division, people know that they have to beat the New York Yankees, and they will be gunning for them.
Well, the Red Sox are going to send out the 3 best they got. It'll be Hurst, Boyd, and Clemens on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Once again, the final score, the Yankees 9, Baltimore 2. Remember, tomorrow and Tuesday at 8:30, the Mets collide with Eastern Division foes, the St. Louis Cardinals. And Wednesday at 7:30, the Yankees take on Wade Boggs and their rivals, the Boston Red Sox. Right now, we're going to join Yankee Magazine in progress. So for my partner, Bobby Mercer, this is the Hawk Ken Harrelson saying so long until Wednesday, and thanks for watching Emmy Award-winning coverage of New York Yankees baseball on Sports Channel. Your stop for a Subway Series summer.